Recording. Okay, the
Just a little.
recording should now be going. All right, so welcome back, guys, to our 28th session of Ophion. I just have some very quick announcements. One very exciting. Sub mode and bits are finally enabled. I did want to extend a thank you to three individuals who have done so already: Anon Soup, The Legend Thok, and D&D Jester, two of which I believe are my players. I just want
You
to
are quite
again
welcome.
yeah, I just want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate the support, and not to worry, I pretty much turn around whatever money I get into buying, stuff for the games. And on that note, my second announcement is if you don't follow my Twitter, um, I'm basically going to do the Warhammer 40k, the new Warhammer 40k RPG called Wrath and Glory. I'm going to do the free RPG module or free RPG day module on June 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daily Time. If you're interested in this, there should be a link on my Twitter, and it will take you to the application. It's a pretty quick application. It basically makes sure that you have good mic etiquette. It gives me your Discord information. It makes sure you can make the time slot, things of that nature. It's worth saying, though, that because it is a pre-generated module, character creation is pretty much you pick one of six, and I'm trying my best, or I will try my best, to make sure everybody gets their first pick, but, get those apps in quick. Other than that, I don't really have anything else, but if the players have anything, okay. So, let's go ahead and get started. Captain, if you have our log.
Captain's log, stardate 55822. Let's try that again, shall we? Captain's log, stardate 55823.5. Our Quantum Slipstream Drive progress is well ahead of our earlier projections, thanks to Commander Maddox's experience and Lieutenant Commander Murthrin's thorough understanding of our interlacing warp fields. We should be ready to make a jump test tomorrow or the following day. There is, of course, concerns that this carries a great deal of risk. We leave Tholian space very quickly, but at the cost of further souring our civilization's relationships. There is also the very real possibility that this will go awry and destroy the Ophion, or leave us stranded somewhere else completely. There's also crew morale to take into consideration, as the longer we stay off the starboard side of this vessel, the more reports of unruly and outright disobedient behavior is filtering its way up through the ranks. I've decided to invite our senior staff and section heads to discuss our options. End log.
Okay. So, we're going to stall a little bit, quote unquote, to give Murthrin time to get here. So, is there any bit of RP people would like to get out of the way before the meeting takes place?
I do have one I'd like to do with Matic and Hylong um, regarding the discoveries made from last session.
Okay. Where would you like it to take place? Your ready room
Uh,
and
in his lab, actually.
in his lab. Okay. Let me
Yes.
find his lab. Uh, okay. There's the science lab. Let me get Hylong's token. You can go ahead and start while
Yeah.
I find Hylong.
Matic, Sienna, um, I understand that we're very close to whether or not we can get out of here in one piece and leave our diplomatic relations more or less intact. Should this fall through, I'm hoping that there might be a plan B. Have you guys analyzed the uh, data that we were given from the race we encountered a couple weeks ago regarding the Tholian Webway network?
Um, we have. My best understanding is that it holds similarities to what Voyager found regarding the network in the Delta Quadrant. Um, However, what I will say is without a known way to kind of map it, quote unquote, there's a chance that we could enter it and then pop out above the Tholian homeworld.
I'm pretty sure that would not look good for our relationships. Have we at least figured out any way to enter or exit their network?
Hylong does
Uh,
speak up. Matic, if you want to, you can go ahead. Otherwise, Hylong
I
must
mean,
want
I
to say
was I was
something.
just gonna bullshit something unless you actually have an answer.
I do have an answer.
Okay.
So Hylong does speak up, and she says, "We've been studying the logs from when the Adelisite left us behind, Captain, and what we noticed was that there was a emission of polaron radiation. I think, and again, this is just a theory, we haven't really tested it yet because obviously we don't want the Tholians to find out that we know. Um, but if we were to find the right frequency of particle emission, we might be able to jump into their network. But I think the problem is not so much that we know that it exists as kind of what Matic just said is without a map or any way really to navigate it properly, we could very well end up even deeper into Tholian space.
Another
Yes.
issue is we don't know how to exit. So we could enter it just fine, but if exiting, we need a different waveform of polarons, then we could have half the ship ending up in the Federation and half the ship ending up in the Breen.
I think I've had enough of dealing with pseudo xenophobic isolationist um, empires for a while. Thank you so much for your efforts, but I think going forward, let's focus all our efforts onto making sure that the Quantum Slipstream drive is successful for when we're ready to launch.
I mean, it should be up here in a few more insert time of day here.
Hmm.
Splendid. Very well. Thanks for your updates and efforts, guys. I will be in touch shortly to schedule a staff meeting.
Sounds good.
And
Understood, sir.
head out.
Okay. Any other scenes people want to get out of the way?
I could actually just walk into that scene.
You know what? You can walk in as the captain's walking out.
Kind of
Mr.
rushing in. Sorry, I'm late. I was caught in the holodeck. I had a meeting with a Chatsu, and she's been riding me very hard the last hour or so. I'm incredibly sore. I'm sorry I'm late.
Phrasing, just lock, just phrasing.
Locke
Please
goes
tell me,
completely
Skull heard this.
bright blue,
What?
and he's just it's phasers. She's been working with phasers with me. We've been practicing a bit since I've been going on away missions.
Yeah,
a
they're
lot.
the handheld ones, right? The handheld ones.
Yes. Since I don't have as much field experience, it's she thought I needed a little bit more practice in live fire exercises.
Hylong just laughs and says, "So that's what they're calling it these days."
By this point, Matic has lost it. He's trying to
Captain, you want to bail your buddy out, maybe?
Bright blue is
Mr. Locke, it is okay that you're late. The Federation is fully supportive of any species interpersonal relationships and any opportunity for cross-departmental training. Do you have any insight on how the Tholian webway networks might be happening?
well. Composes himself. I was working with a little bit with Hylong, and we discussed that we might be able to activate it and get in, but triggering getting out and mapping it would be incredibly difficult, and we'd almost certainly end up getting lost. It was, I believe, our consensus.
Yeah, that seems to be the prevailing hypothesis. We'll leave that for Plan Z.
And also, activating it would almost certainly give them knowledge that we know about it, which is information that we don't want to share unneedlessly.
Agreed. That's why we're having this clandestine meeting inside this informationally isolated lab.
One thing, Captain, that just occurred to me.
Yes, Senior Chief.
She looks at Locke and says, "Locke, have you taken a look at the transporter technology we acquired from our friends a couple weeks ago?"
Only briefly, casually looked at it. I've been I did a brief glance to see if their calculations and science matched what Matic and I were doing with the subspace transporter technology I was toying with. But for the most part, I've been working with Murthrin and getting the Slipstream drive working so that we don't all die horribly inside out.
Well, that's of course appreciated. I would rather not be inside out, but of course I will also bring this up at the formal meeting later, Captain. But it's occurred to me that we are going to have to deal with getting our Tholian ambassador off our ship, and these transporters might provide that for us.
I'm kind of hoping that if we ask her nicely enough, she'll just leave, but it's always nice to have a more forceful option that doesn't involve escorting her out at phaser point.
I mean, we could always just shove her on a shuttle.
Well, I was thinking about beating her onto an escape.
That's
escape
a waste of a good shuttle, in my opinion. But at least she's keeping out of the way. Are we able just to maybe eject Beta or Gamma Bridge and leave her?
I mean, we could space it.
There's
Panic
an
is
option.
frowning somewhere on the ship.
There might be regulations against spacing ambassadors.
There are actually, unless they're Klingons, in which case there's a very specific procedure in which case it is perfectly diplomatically acceptable to space a Klingon ambassador.
I mean, I'm not the one writing the report.
And it's a report I'd rather not write.
Then don't write it.
Wasn't planning on it. I can't write what doesn't happen after all.
Exactly.
There's still also the question of separating the ship and getting into slipstream position while being observed by the Tholians.
At this point, I think if we have a faster than warp speed travel method, the Tholians aren't going to care how many sections our ship can split into.
Well, we still have to announce then that we're using the QSD and then separating and opening it.
Yes, that's going to be a very interesting meeting when I talk to their ambassador.
Do we have the holo projectors on the outside of the ship?
No, we moved them back.
Yeah, I was gonna say I seem to recall that project really didn't go anywhere. So
Yeah.
I was just about to say that if we still had them, then we could just make it look like our ship is still in one piece.
That would be very difficult. Pretty sure they'd figure that out.
I could also make a Wolf Raider a beacon the next day or so.
Sorry, a what?
It's a beacon that cries wolf, setting off a distress signal like a freighter. You just put a subspace beacon with a couple thrusters, fire it off somewhere, wait a bit of time, and it kind of sets off a distress call. I'm sure we could set up a Tholian distress call. We've had enough time to look at their signals. And then meanwhile, you remote pilot it into a sun so there's no evidence.
We've seen how the Tholians respond to distress signals. We basically had to point them in the direction and pull them. And by the way, this may be a little intercultural difference, but why would we have it shouting about a wolf?
I'm not sure. That's where my former assignment used to call it. It's something they did a few times is having a cry wolf. I didn't get the reference. I assumed it was related to a Federation transport shuttle wolf that exploded.
It's an old Earth story about people crying out for help whenever they don't need help. Though the final lesson of the story is whenever the boy actually needed the help, no one came and he actually got eaten by the wolf. So,
oh, okay. We Trill had a similar species called the Grashark that we had a similar story about.
No. In Booleans, we just didn't lie.
Pylon just kind of muses for a bit and says, reminds me of a story about several dragons. But that's a long story. Maybe another time.
Perhaps. Very well. Based on your early analysis, Mr. Locke, how easy would it be to rig the invasive portion of the transporters up into our systems?
Well, we haven't tested it for organic yet, let alone not useful or like a Tholian or anatomy. Beaming Tholians itself is not something I'd want to do in a non-standard situation without the risk of, I don't know, leaving them inert. That would be a lot of rejiggering, I think is the title.
We are in a very non-standard situation right now, Mr. Locke. If you have time in between, make the QSD your priority, but if your efforts are not required, please see what we can do to at least try and get our guest off with minimal.
Are the Tholians, our Tholian escorts ship, is it shields up currently? Does it normally fly with shields up?
No. The only times its shields go up... Actually, let me think. I think the only time you've seen their shields up is when you were approaching the research outpost that was transmitting a distress call. But aside from that, they have pretty much mirrored your posture in that, if your shields go up, theirs go up kind of a thing.
So we probably don't need the special technology. Since our shields are not up, we could just beam them over and then immediately raise our shields. It'd be a very threatening gesture, but if we were immediately fleeing anyway.
Very well. Splendid. I like where this is heading, and hopefully we'll be back in Federation space before we know it. I'd dismiss you, but you have work to do here, so I'll dismiss myself.
All right.
And I'll head out.
Captain heads out. All right. So, we have brought up a few interesting possibilities for more time killers. So, as Locke has pointed out, beaming a Tholian is usually not the preferred method. I'm pretty sure I had the Green came over in a shuttle. At least, I think. And if not, she probably should have come over in a shuttle. Because, yeah, beaming Tholians is something they don't like a whole lot. But if you would like to tinker with the transporters to accommodate Tholian physiology, then we can do a little bit of an extended task if anyone's interested.
Well, let's bring Beckett in on this because I'm sure he has information on Tholian physiology.
Sure. You know what? I think I actually have a transporter room here somewhere. Let's use it for once. Yes, here it is, right here. Just got to move some tokens around because these are all the old ones.
I guess it was.
I guess Green did over.
All right. Yeah. Well, that was an oversight on my part. If
imagine
really
Tholian if it was beaming from the Tholian ship to our ship, their transporters would be used to it.
Oh, you know what? That's a good point. Let's keep it that way. Let's not retcon it. So they're fine with their own transporters. They're not fine with anyone else's. All right. So I'm guessing Locke is coming along. Matic, you're coming along, and then Beckett's coming along. Is that everybody?
I can be there, I guess, or is there... Do you need me somewhere else?
That's up to you.
I mean, we haven't seen enough Pinnock Beckett banter in a while.
You know what? That's a good opportunity. Let's do it. All right. So, 4 of you arrive in Transporter Room 1, and you can banter and or get started on the task at your convenience.
All right, Beckett. What changes do you think need to be made so that way our friend gets back to her ship just fine?
To be honest, we'd probably have to, in some way, shape, or form, modulate the radiation that comes from being split down and then re-put back together. That's the only thing I can think of that would be adverse to the Tholian biology. They tend to... Well, their body tends to emit forms of radiation that may not jive well with our transporters. And then he'll look at Panek. I use the word jive. It's an ancient earthworm word that means work together. And then I'll turn back to Matic. That's the only thing I can think of that would that may pose a problem. You can probably pull from the sensors what kind of radiation that green is emitting, and then adjust it accordingly.
One small thing. Beckett, you got really quiet there compared to before. Are you farther from your mic, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
Now you're louder again. Whatever you did.
Oh, okay. Well,
worked.
maybe the mic did move. But yeah, that would be the one thing I would suggest is pull the sensor logs for around green and what kind of radiation they are emitting, and just to adjust the transporter accordingly if that's what you want to do. You're not actually planning on like spacing green, are we? And he'll kind of look around at the assembled people nervously.
That's plan F, if I remember the human alphabet.
It is my understanding of linguistics, Commander, that some words should remain unused.
Matic just kind of shrugs and says, "Shit happens."
Well, I can't condone the wholesale murder of another living life form. So if that's what we're talking about, and he'll look around the room again, kind of nervously, then I think I have other stuff to do.
So to throw you a bone, unless you literally beam them out when they're not in their suit can handle space just fine.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, can't they survive in space for like half an hour or something like that?
Probably
And
more
that's it.
because their suits are, any non-Tholian environment the suit has to support. So I imagine they have a lot more operational time than say Federation Evo suits.
Okay, so if Matic brings that up about, I think a green suit would let her survive, or let it survive in open space, then Beckett will sigh and then say, "All right, we'll ditch our chaperone," and then he'll turn around and walk out of the transporter room.
Okay.
I don't think we've used this particular transporter room since the Tholian ambassador beamed aboard. We might still have some information in the systems in the computer memory that might be useful from the Tholian transporter beam.
All right. And while I pull that, Locke, if you want to talk to Pinek about you and Shetsu practicing with handheld stuff, just Pinek, explain it to the boy. And then I'll walk over and start messing with the console.
I raise an eyebrow at Matic and I look at Locke.
Well, I mean, they're making a valid assumption that is wrong. I mean, because people know that Bolians are friendly, Andorians are passionate, and Vulcans are logical, and Caitians are Caitians are frisky, and so they're assuming that Shatsu and I are coupling when she's teaching me how to better use a phaser.
I believe such activity during training is quite unnecessary, Lieutenant. And while fraternization on the ship is not strictly prohibited, I would prefer if you kept it during off-duty hours.
Yes, Commander?
Whether or not you and Miss Shatsu are pursuing such a relationship is irrelevant unless it interferes with your work.
It made him late.
I have taken note of his lateness, Lieutenant. And I will speak to him about that in due time. I also noticed your uniform is quite untidy, Lieutenant. That will also be going on my report.
Oh, God, poor Locke.
I've been working in the QSD for a bit. Sorry, this is warp plasma conduit lubricant. It does not come off. I might need to replicate
plasma conduit and lubricant indeed. And I'll raise another eye.
Walking in on a Vulcan, giving the birds and the bees talk.
Oh dear. All right. Let's see. I have to find your token. Hold on. There's Mirthrin. Mirthrin walks in.
Locke is probably just one color. There's no distinguishing between the regular face and the stripes. It is just all dark blue.
Yeah, so Merton will sort of look up from the pad he's typing on and go, "Oh, sorry, did I intrude on something?"
Murthrin, hi, welcome. We're just discussing transporting a Tholian not into space and keeping them alive in the process. Please, expertise. Computer, transport, stuff, things. Help.
Computer goes, unknown command, please restate.
So, are we talking storing them in the transporter buffer?
No, just spacing them, but it won't be spaced because they can actually survive in their suit. Okay, here's the log. I guess do I need to roll for the log to find the log, or because it's just the last?
I'm gonna let you find it easy enough.
But what if I want to build some momentum?
You know what? That's a good point. Why don't we do a well, let's just do a basic control engineering, difficulty 0.
Would the Ophion be
there you go,
assisting?
2 momentum. Yeah, you find the log, no problem. It is actually fairly detailed. It pretty much has sort of what you're looking for. The only crucial bit of detail is how they compensate for the interior atmosphere of the suit. And by that I mean if you were to beam them from, in their suit into space, there's going to be a very short period of time where the atmosphere in their suit does not mesh up with what it was prior to transport.
If we beam them from the bridge, we could also get a bunch of the atmosphere with it and transport them in the little bubble of the atmosphere that might sustain them for a bit longer.
Well, once it hits space, that would all just dissipate.
But it would give them...
Honestly, I think that if we just pull an Archer and just shove them out an airlock, might do a little bit better.
Or again, beaming them into an escape pod and launching the pod.
The diplomatic repercussions of any action we take against this, against the representative is bound to be quite disastrous for the diplomatic corps.
Actually, yes, wait, Matherin says. That's the question I should have asked first. Why are we thinking about spacing the Tholian ambassador?
Because, well, Skull wants us to have a lot of backup plans in case the QSD doesn't work.
It's if we need to activate the QSD and we decide not to inform the Tholians, we don't want to be kidnapping a Tholian ambassador in the process.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
So actually, because I want to make sure Panek does get some input here in the main meeting, we're going to cut that scene a little bit short, and we are going to go to the actual meeting between everyone. So everyone is present. If there are any other NPCs that are not here you'd like to be there, just let me know and I will add them.
Zareed from the Diplomatic Corps probably would make sense.
Okay.
As this is a very dicey move.
That's a Tholian.
Nope, not that one. No, definitely not that one.
Nope.
That's the Tholian. We don't want them here. All right, they're not here. Okay. Anyone else?
That I can think of.
Okay. All right. Well, Skull, it is your meeting. I'm gonna let you run it.
Yes, it is. By the reports that you've given me, Merthrin, Matic, and Locke, it seems that we're about 24 to 48 hours away from having a hypothetically functional QSD.
Emphasis on hypothetical.
It's going to have to be more than that if we want to make it back to Federation space and not further complicate an already complicated diplomatic situation.
There is a catch that we can't really make an actually live test and without actually activating the drive, which is going to make things awkward.
Yes. Any way around that, guys?
Lots and lots of simulations, which we've been doing over the course of the last fortnight.
Very well.
We've looked at doing a micro slipstream corridor and seeing if we could launch something from one end of the ship to the other, but without actually having something that's physically in the corridor and able to navigate, both sustaining it and exiting it would be tricky.
To say nothing of the more than trivial risk of just coring out a section across the entire length of the ship.
Yes, I would like my ship to remain intact throughout this procedure.
And there was also that fear that the exit would the velocity would not change upon exiting for at least 2.5 meters, and we'd effectively turn whatever thing we put through the micro quantum slipstream drive into basically a railgun projectile that might.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellow engineers, that velocity does not come into the equation when considering warp travel.
Not during the trip through the quantum tunnel, but the space folding effects when you enter and exit can cause a little bit of motion.
It just depends on what theory you're looking at. Some theories are the ship stays stationary while space moves around it, and then the other one is space is stationary while the ships move around. But I mean, both theories could be applicable, and there's no way we know which theory is correct until we decide to make the jump.
It is also depending on where you're looking. But in this instance, it's the matter of the slipstream drive. The dimensional aspects do impart a little bit of extra energy and oomph to the motion, and as well as the displacement of space, how it exits and where it exits are tricky. When we're dealing with that amount of distance at that short amount of time, there is a fairly substantial margin of error in that you can't stop on a dime, as I've heard.
And of course, there's still the really big thing we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to separate out into multi-vector assault mode to actually begin the quantum jump sequence.
And that, of course, means alerting our Tholian escorts to this ship's capabilities. I had thought about that, but when it comes down to revealing to the Tholians that the Ophion is in possession of a faster than warp travel device that is probably similar to, or at least they would believe is slightly similar to their own methods that shall not be discussed beyond this room, I don't think they're going to care how many parts the ship can separate into. So I'm making the decision that tactical disclosure is going to be null and void should we proceed with this jump.
I mean, the main question is how quickly their point defense cannons can lock on.
Well, in a perfect world, it's my hope that we can explain to the Tholians that we have achieved a method of travel that will get us out of their space faster. Now, we have proved to be a very compliant escort since our assistance with their distress signal several weeks back. And it's my hope that we've built up enough goodwill with them to allow us to try and to get their ambassador off here without causing any further diplomatic issues. However, if anyone has any other opinions or insight, now would be the time.
Locke, that nebula that we found the other ship in, would it be possible? How well could their sensors penetrate it?
We know very little about Tholian sensors and penetration and how effective they are compared to our sensors in such a situation. They obviously seem to have some ability to navigate it fairly easily, but at close range, They did almost spot us.
Senior Chief, are there any naturally occurring phenomenon further along our projected escort path that we could take advantage of?
Well, as you
Per
know,
se,
we've been restricted from performing active scans, so it's pretty much whatever we've been able to pick up passively. And even then, as you probably are more aware than anyone else because you get so many reports about it, there is literally nothing of interest between point A and point B. Where we've gone or where we've come from and where we're going. It is pretty much as if the Tholians decided to make sure we didn't see a single iota of their space.
and we would be unable to create a sensor scattering field without them detecting that it was being generated by us. Then
Correct.
I don't see any other option, Captain, to mask our attempts to test our experiment.
The two viable options are we do it in front of them, either with their knowledge or not, or we distract them and get them away from us for a short period.
Yes, your crying wolf idea, Lieutenant Locke, is quite the optimum choice, getting them as far away from us as possible. Can this be launched without them detecting it?
That shouldn't be a problem. All we have to do is take a beacon and a thrusters, put it in one of the cargo bays that has currently, and then evacuate the atmosphere from it. Open the bay doors and reduce the inertial dampener field, and it should just flow right out the back as we move forward.
Do we know have we learned anything from the cloaking technology of whatever that species was I forgot about?
The Chanel Consortium?
Yeah, the Chanel Consortium. Do we know how their cloaking devices work, and could we modify the probe with one?
So cloaking technology is fairly large, but as long as the probe doesn't activate, or the beacon doesn't activate until it's slightly out of range, it shouldn't be detectable anymore as any other kind of micrometeorite small object. Unless they're doing an active scan of our ship as it leaves, it should just be detritus floating by.
Which, that's something I would like to put on the table, that we need to assume that they're always have an active scan on us.
Agreed. And if we use this cry wolf tactic, or cry Grashnik, as my parents used to say, the Adelisite would leave, but they'd leave us with a Tholian ambassador with nowhere to beam them to.
Shatsu speaks up and says, there's also the other matter, sir, of how this Cry Wolf beacon gets the Adelisite away. We've seen that the Tholians don't really respond to their own distress signals, but I believe if we were to, say, give off the signal of another Federation ship, or a Klingon ship, or a Romulan ship, hell, even the Ferengi, I believe the Adelisite would jump at the opportunity to investigate that.
What about the Chanel? They scanned us recently. They contacted us. We know their frequencies. We could set it up to seem like a Chanel beacon, and the Tholians would almost certainly investigate that, and it would not raise nearly as much suspicion as a Ferengi or Klingon.
But you then run into the problem that we actually have the Chanel ship following along behind us, and dropping a beacon of theirs in the area would immediately put the Adelisite in high alert for them.
Well, the catch that the Cry Wolf beacon is that you have a delay before it activates, and so you are some distance away before it activates, so they have to travel out of sight. So they'd be actually traveling away from our Chanel allies to investigate.
I see. Wait a few parsecs to activate it.
Exactly. That way they can't get to us in time before we can QSD away.
So Zareed speaks up this time, and Zareed says, Captain, I am still somewhat concerned. How are we dealing with Gareen through all of this?
That is the lingering question. I would very much prefer to deal with the Tholians head on in this situation. All this cloak and dagger stuff is fun to talk about, but the amount of stuff that has to go right to pull it off without a hitch is very, very troublesome. And I would much rather we meet the Tholians on their terms than ours.
The Tholians, they speak through regular communications, or do they have a way to communicate with each other non-verbally? I can't remember.
They have
No, go ahead.
they have a hyper, or Ambassador Green has displayed some sort of pseudo telepathic communication back to the Adela site, most likely through directed radiation beams.
And Zareed snaps her finger and says, Captain's got it. From what we know of the Tholians, they only really communicate verbally to interact with other species. Otherwise, they pretty much do subvocal and radiation-flavored communication. And she looks at Matic and says, I did a little bit of digging, and it actually kind of reminds me of the Opterons, if you remember them from your time on the Arcadia.
Okay, so it's along those lines.
Now, here's a thought. We've been observing Grareen for the last 3 months and their communication. How reliably can we fake a communique from Grareen?
Well, I wasn't considering actually faking it, but if there was a way that we could block it, or even we could even do something that would maybe knock her out, like if we could change the environments, or if we could deliver some sort of medication or something, and then we have them transport her off the ship saying that, hey, something's wrong with her medically and we don't have the tools to fix her, y'all do. That gets rid of her off our ship.
That sounds medically unethical, correct, Doctor?
Yeah, we're not doing that.
We have.
Well, let me rephrase that. I'm not doing that.
We have considerable holographic instrumentation here. We could, and enough captured sensor of time of her interactions with the escort ship to suitably fake a transmission if necessary.
Even if such a transmission is teleport me out of here immediately without giving any explanation?
Zareed kind of scratches her head and says, I mean, I'd have to work with Hailong and Locke, since they're our premier sensor experts, but I don't know, it'd be a little bit difficult, but that actually might be the best way and gets her off the ship very quickly.
And
A request for medical aid coming from herself, or at least the appearance of herself, would be far more likely to be accepted than us, and unquestioned.
It'd be very coincidental, though, if we cried wolf immediately after they transported her aboard. They'd almost certainly suspect something or be more hesitant to respond.
I would like to think that the offer of, hey, we can more or less instantaneously get out of your part of the galaxy would be temptation enough.
I'm
Right.
hoping it is. That's plan A. What we're talking about here is plan B.
And the issue with that, though, Berthrand, is what's to stop them from saying, well, we want to look at technology, we say no, and the next thing we know, we're at war with the Tholians.
That is a good point.
You know? I mean,
that is
quickest,
the
easiest way
thing.
to
I'm
do
pretty sure
it.
none of us want to go down as the ones who sparked a second major conflict barely 3 years after the last one finished.
Well, we have seen the future. At least a version of it. Tholians and Federation seem to do all right.
But just by gaining access to the QSD from that future, we're potentially changing that future.
And I would note, at about this time 100 years ago, the Federation and the Klingons were locked in a bloody war.
Point. Very, very well. Then I believe that our best course of action will be if they refuse to allow us to safely test the QSD, then we will have to escort the ambassador off the ship. I would prefer not to use force if necessary. If all else fails, we can just escort her to a shuttlecraft and and leave the shuttlecraft behind. Transporting her without her permission into the vacuum of space is off the table. Transporting her without her permission onto the Adela site is a possibility.
Shatsu just kind of, speaks up and says, "You just say what you want me to do, Captain, and it'll happen."
Very well. Unless anyone has any other options, that will be my plan A and plan B. Do anybody have a third option?
You have my support, Captain.
Thank you.
We just take her back to the Federation and then arrange to have her brought back.
That's a possibility. We can always leave her with the Tholian embassy, or leave her at the nearest starbase, and she can transport back to the Tholian embassy on Earth. It would be as much as I don't want to act on it, it is slightly poetic justice to make the ambassador travel 6 months to get back to her home.
Sareed grimaces and says, "Yeah, if we could maybe not do that. The Tholians are not going to take that well."
The Tholians don't take anything well.
This is true. I have no argument against this.
Well, I mean, there is a difference between mildly put out and extremely incensed.
That is true. Very well. Locke, work on your Cry Wolf beacon just in case. Make it look like the Ferengi that complicated our lives back on the Scorpy homeworld. I believe we should still have their warp transponder signatures.
Oh, if not, I believe I do.
I'll just raise an eyebrow to Beckett and say, "I'm sure you achieved those through completely legitimate business transactions."
Of course. I mean, it followed all the rules of acquisition and all of Starfleet laws.
Very well. I'll take that at face value and not question it further. Dismissed.
That's a good idea.
All right. So, as people begin to filter out, Shatsu does kind of grab Locke and says, "After this is all over, and we're hopefully back in Federation space, I'd like to work with you on rigging a torpedo up to a miniature QSD. I think that would be tremendously an awesome weapon."
Phrasing.
Yeah, yes, Lieutenant. That would be very interesting to have a weaponized QSDs.
Oh, that was all. Oh, and I'd like to see you again for training in about 3 days. Again, assuming we're all in one piece.
Locke casts an eye at the rest of the staff as they're leaving. It's, yes, Lieutenant.
Oh no, Matic is standing right there. He's not leaving.
Skull's already leaving. He's having no part in this shenanigans.
As Beckett's walking away, he'll just kind of say over his shoulder, "I've heard it called training before."
Sareed just looks around and goes, "Oh. Matic, why don't you and I go over here?" And Sareed will start to try and pull Matic out of the room.
No, there's I gotta talk to Locke and Shatsu and see about their training. Make sure that this young boy here is getting everything he needs.
Oh God! For Locke's sake.
Mithrin is confused by the sort of buzz of combined humor and acute embarrassment he's getting off the room.
Yeah, for Locke's sake, and because as much as I would love to play this out longer, we do have to get through some stuff. For Locke's sake, we'll kind of shift the scene there.
Meanwhile, Shatsu is probably very confused.
Oh yeah, she has no idea what's going on. But we're going to cut to the bridge, and we're going to play this scene between both the bridge and main engineering. So let's see. Beckett, would you be on the bridge or would you be in sickbay for this?
I have a strict policy of unless needed, I am not on the bridge.
Okay. Captain, would you like him on the bridge?
I don't see how he could be. I think, depending on how quick we want to move, I think I'll station him as commander of Gamma or Beta Bridge.
Okay, very logical. All right, so 3 of you in main engineering or elsewhere should be upper left where you guys usually are, and everybody who should be on the bridge is on the bridge.
Quick question, because I may have missed it all. Are we planning to MVAM the ship? I don't remember hearing that part.
Yeah, sorry. You missed last week when we discussed some of this. In order for the Quantum Slipstream drive to work properly, in the combined mode, the 3 warp cores are a problem. So we have to separate the ship and basically streamline.
Okay. Then in that case, if he asked me to be on Beta Bridge because Gamma Bridge, I guess still has the green, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yes.
Then I will quietly, to not alert anything, grab my normal bridge crew.
Okay.
And which I think I normally have Gamma shift.
Yep.
And I will pull them together, and then we will man Beta Bridge.
Okay. I'm going to put Beta Bridge personnel over here top right, just in case it comes up.
Yeah, basically we worked out you had to sort of have Beta and Gamma have like a daisy-chained Quantum Slipstream drive, and because we can't keep the tunnel stable for more than a couple of microseconds, so they sort of rapid-fire cycle between them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're alternating and therefore in kind of a rhythm.
Gotcha. So kind of like
it's an AC Quantum Slipstream drive.
Yeah. So like the old Constitution jogs, rotating the engines back and forth to give you more power. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alpha is at the back with its quantum side.
Alpha's sort of running the control program and sort of slaving the two together, and then Beta and Gamma are daisy chained between themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. So let's get the show on the road.
Okay.
It is the following day, and all you need to do, Captain, is give the word for things to start happening. For sake of argument, we'll say that Locke was able to basically send out the beacon that he wanted to do. I'll also say, for sake of argument, Hylong would have at least looked into transporting Gareen if need be. And I think that's everything. Did I miss anybody's thing or between scene?
Let's see. I think we're good. I think that's everything.
Matic and Murthrin, are we on the same section of the ship, or are we spread out?
Well, Murthrin will be on Gamma.
Yeah. So it just depends where you want to be, Matic.
I guess if he's at Gamma, I'll be at the one that we're...
I think having Matic on the bridge with the quantum sensors might make sense.
Okay. I mean, I had Hylong there for that. So.
Oh yeah, quantum on. Yeah, that works.
You know what, Matic? Why don't we put you on Beta?
All right.
All right. So Beta's over there. Okay. Yeah. So Captain, just give the words and let me know what I need to tell you.
Very well. All right. All departments report in. Are we ready to do this just in case?
Shatsu says, yes, sir, I'm getting green across the board.
Miss Sona?
I'm seeing that everything is adequate, sir. We are ready to separate the ship and commence QSD on your mark.
Chief Hylong, quantum sensors.
Working, sir. And this is where we're going to start the rolls. So I had to do a little bit of digging to find homebrew on QSD. I liked some things about it. I didn't like others. So, of course, I homebrewed it myself. So, the first thing in the process, or at least the way I understand it, is we want to see how well the Ophion's chronoton sensors sort of pierce the veil and, give you a good entry vector. So this is going to be a reason plus science assisted by the ship's sensor science. And this is going to be at a difficulty of 4. And that's accounting for any ship talents, but not any player ones.
High long rolling for the ship then, or
either you or Hylong. I would say whoever is not doing the main role would assist.
okay. I'll do the main roll, and High long can assist me, I guess.
Okay. Who's rolling Hylong?
I'll roll Hylong.
Okay. Who's rolling the ship?
I
I can do the ship.
Oh, no, Mirthrin can do ship.
Okay. All right.
Sensors plus.
Sensors plus science, and yeah, you guys have, it looks like, 1 momentum at the moment.
So we should use it here or save it for later. Save it for like the actual act.
Possibly save it for later, I think.
So targeted scans be kind of a focus for.
I would let targeting scans apply here, yeah. Okay, so there's 2 successes already. Oh, look at that!
Nice momentum.
That is a free momentum. Look at that.
Good ship.
Yeah. So, sure enough, the chronoton sensors basically feed back that this is a prime opportunity to enter the slipstream. There is no turbulence. There does not appear to be any quote-unquote Tholian web network nearby. So it's all optimal conditions.
Are we?
What did the ship say about the tides of the warp are calm?
Are we currently traveling at warp?
No. We'll say that this takes place during one of those times where the Adelicite and the Ophion kind of drop out of warp to quote-unquote rest for a bit.
Very well.
However, activating this sensor scan is going to get you a call from the commander.
Well, that's good. My next command was to open a call to the commander, so he saved me the trip.
Yeah. So Commander Nostrine hails you and says, "Captain, you were instructed very clearly not to scan anything in our space. Can you explain the purpose of this?"
Why, yes. Mr. Tin, please loop in Gamma Bridge and Ambassador Green.
On it, sir. And after a moment, there's sort of like a side-by-side window.
Ambassador Green, commander of the Aversite. Over the last month, my crew has been working to implement a theoretical set of travel method that is faster than warp drive that will get us out of Tholian space in under 2 seconds. We are preparing to do so now. Ambassador Green, please prepare Commander of the Aversite, please beam Ambassador Green back to your vessel so that we may not take her with us as we prepare to jump.
Commander Nostrine, in a very un-Tholian-like way, sort of...
Nostrine, thank you.
Yeah, he kind of tilts his head a little bit to the side and says, "You mean to say the Federation has faster than warp travel technology?"
It was all hypothetical. However, the motivation of a fast exit out of Tholian space has allowed my crew to, at least on paper, turn theoretical into practical.
Shatsu from behind you says, "Sir, I'm detecting that the Adelicite is beginning to lock weapons on us."
I knew this was going to happen.
You don't want to do this, Commander. We are giving you, let's see, by my count, we are, 3 months into our journey?
Mm-hmm.
We are giving you and your crew an additional 2.5 months to actually do something of use to the Tholian Empire.
I've raised shields and gone to yellow alert.
Okay. Well, before that happens, because raising shield does prevent Gareen from beaming off.
Yes.
So first, let's have the captain. I believe you have diffused the tension, yes?
I do indeed.
Okay. So the
Now would be a
initial...
really good time to diffuse the tension.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
agreed.
the difficulty originally was going to be a 5, but because of diffused attention, it goes down to 4. This is going to be a presence command, which I believe is your best stat.
Pretty, yeah. I actually have 3 11s. That's cool. One of them should become a 12 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3d20. I'm going to spend a point of moment. Now, because I get that for free, do I have to spend 2 momentum for a second dice?
Correct.
Is everyone okay if I spend the 2 momentum?
Yes.
Okay. 40-20. Focus. I'm assuming diplomacy is a good one here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that extra dice was useful.
Look at that. So, Nostrine... How do I want to say this? The weapons lock still happens, but Nostrine seems to give a... I guess you would call it a nonverbal communique, because unless Panek literally raises shields right then, you will see that green beams out of Gamma Bridge.
And I won't.
Very well. For the safety of the Aversite, I would strongly suggest that you move to 0.5 light years away.
Well, maybe not quite that far, but
Well, I don't actually know how much of an explosion this could generate if it fails. Very well. Or you can stay right there and we'll see, and take as many detailed sensors as you can. Because if this works, the Federation is going to have a new technology.
So
And-
Nostrine's communique just stops right there.
That's fine, because I'm just going to cut communication and order the multi-vector assault mode. Engage multi-vector assault mode.
Okay.
understood, Captain. Drives are slaved, ready to disengage on your mark.
Murthrin, Matic, you are the experts here. I will. You have control.
All right. So,
Alrighty.
what the task is going to be, and I think this is probably going to be the key task of the night, is from what I understand, and working with Homebrew, this is going to be on Sona's part a control plus con. The ship will assist with engines plus con, and then one other person can assist with control and engineering or control and science. The overall difficulty will be a 5.
Does anyone have a control higher than 10?
I have a 12.
Okay, you'll probably be best to do control and engineering then.
All right. So trying to see if I can. Nope. So control. Not medicine.
Yeah, I always forget the seats on Federation ships actually have restraint harnesses.
Yeah, it only took them about a century of being thrown around to.
Quantum mechanics, warp field dynamics, prototype
Both would
engineering.
apply here, yes. All right, so who's rolling for Sona, by the way?
I can Sona.
Okay.
Yep, I've still got the ship.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if we were taking this any less seriously, I would make the command to engage in ludicrous speed, but
It's
I mean,
Q
it
speed.
will be.
Well, it's a memorable first words before acting of things.
Mm-hmm.
let's
Where
do
is Sona's sheet? There it is.
I mean, or you can, do the other old standby, ramming speed, Mr. Sulu.
I'm hoping we don't hit anything, because that would be bad in this instance. Okay, was it control plus con?
Mm-hmm. So are we spending any momentum here? Any determinations?
none.
Things of
It'll
that
have to be
nature?
threat, won't it?
Yeah, you would have to be giving me threat for this.
All the threat.
Mm-hmm. Sona has 2 values and not any really. Well, she has the value to strive to be better than her creator.
I'm going to say no, because even though she's an android, I don't think that's going to come into play in doing QSD.
Fine by me. Okay.
Well, actually, remember how I said that the way I set it up was we needed Sienna and Sona to be able to do faster than human fucking calculations to switch the engines at the right time?
Right, but I'm taking that already into account with the difficulty. Like, that is what is enabling the task to happen at all.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Would helm operations count as a focus?
Yeah, I'll allow that.
All right.
I think we might just need to dump a whole bunch of threat.
Well, Sona has gotten 3 successes already, so we need 1 from the ship and 1 from Matic.
All right, what was the ship roll again?
Okay.
The ship is rolling engines con.
Maybe 1 threat for a second dice.
I don't think the ship can roll more than 1.
Yeah, it's an assist.
Mm-hmm. Would you look at that? All right, so what happens is before you, as the Ophion sections line up in sort of a linear fashion, off the bow of the front section, a teal-colored tear in the space-time continuum begins to open up, and it grows larger and larger and larger until it's big enough to accommodate the Ophion. And Sona wastes 0 time in diving the Ophion right in. And the entire ship shudders as it crosses, well, all the ships shudder as they cross the threshold. And then the view screen changes from the sort of black space with stars to the interior of a slipstream tunnel. Very similar to the one that we saw in Voyager, kind of the teal-colored swirling energy corridor. And these swirling vortexes of exotic energies form an almost like hourglass bubble around the ship. So if you play Star Trek Online, very similar to how it looks there. In order to get where you're going, there is going to be one other task. Because initially you have to spend a lot of power to maintain it, and I thought the power needed was a little bit much. So what I'm going to need from each section of the ship, so probably Matic for his Bishop, Murthrin's going to do Gamma, and then we'll have Xenixia do Alpha.
All right.
I'm going to need a power management task, and that is going to be, if I remember correctly, if my PDF would also stop failing. Power management is a control or daring plus engineering, and the difficulty here is 2. It can succeed a cost, but let's just say you want to pass it straight out.
May I ask if those of us command types can assist with certain talents and such?
How would you be assisting?
I have a talent called Doctor's Orders.
Mm-hmm.
When you attempt a task to coordinate others or to coerce someone into taking or refraining from a specific action, you can use medical discipline instead of command.
Okay.
I have appropriate to help my NPC make their role.
Well, your NPC is actually Matic for beta.
Oh, okay. Well, the question stands.
So I guess what I'm looking for is more like an RP style answer. Like, how are you helping out Matic in his power management? Are you like trying to tell him to move from power from specific systems? Are you giving him advice? What's
I would say because I've used this before in a situation where I was commanding one of the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I would tell him, dump everything from anything that's not shields or life support, dump it into whatever he needs.
Okay. So Matic, go ahead and let's do beta section first. So if you could do either a daring or control, engineering, difficulty 2, and Beckett will assist you on this.
I'm assuming power systems applies.
Yep.
No, definitely not.
No way in hell. Alien technology, though, that applies.
Nah.
I'm going to give you a threat for an extra dice.
I'll take threat.
Because...
and do you want control as my attribute?
No, I would like presence for your attribute.
Are you sure you don't want something else?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, shit. And I know I don't have a focus because I'm yelling at him.
All right, you got one success from Beckett. Oh,
Holy
wow.
shit!
Okay, so that's
I could use some of that momentum.
Yeah, that's 3 momentum.
Language, Captain.
Do the computers or sensors technically assist me?
No.
I'm asking for technical expertise. Just no.
Yeah, it specifically says it's only an officer in power management. If the ship was assisting, I'd say maybe, but nah. But hey, you still got 3 momentum, so that's awesome. So yeah, beta section, completely fine. Matic knows exactly how to adjust the power levels of beta section to keep the QSD open for the beta section's time of, cycling in and out. Let's do Mirthrin's next, because his is the next important one. So Mirthrin,
Alrighty.
same thing. I don't think you have anyone assisting you here.
Nope, and I don't really have any focuses that apply. Closest I've got is warp field dynamics, and this is not a warp field.
You know what? I'll be nice and say that for sake of argument, I'll let it apply here.
Okay, so I'll spend one of those momentum for an extra die.
Okay.
Control plus engineering.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Zinch does not want us in subspace.
No.
Zinch wants us out of the warp.
Yeah, holy crap. So that's 4 momentum, so you guys are at cap. Wow. Wow, a 2, a 5, and a 3. Just wow. Okay, so the only section remaining is going to be Alpha. So I need Zenixia, someone to roll for Zenixia. Same thing, control or daring plus engineering.
Might I suggest Locke assist?
Yes, I would say Locke could assist, and I'm going to let Locke flavor how, because he usually has great ideas.
Sorry, I'm assisting, just kind of trying to maintain the engineering thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I imagine Locke is just processing all the information that's coming up on his display and just shouting things out rapidly. It's like, key units at 35% need to increase by 14%, and just kind of maintaining all this data and stuff is on a screen, and he's just reading and relaying it.
All right, that'll work.
I'll roll for Zenixia. I'm gonna spend her determination for I must represent my species well,
Okay.
and then hope for the best.
Yeah,
So
at
it's
this point,
control
we're looking to
engineering
see
or
if any
something?
complications pop up.
Data analysis focus.
Yes. All right, so Zenixia has 4 successes. Okay, so you have 2 floating momentum. And that's going to come into play here. Because even though you guys have succeeded up to this point, I do have to introduce a small amount of randomness here. So here's what I'm going to say. You may spend 1 momentum. Well, let me back up a little bit. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have someone, let's have the captain do it. Captain, I'd like you to roll me a 1d1000. And I'm not going to tell you what the result is until we've resolved whether you're keeping the roll or not. And what I'll say is you can spend 1 momentum, one of the floating momentum, to re-roll that if you so wish.
Okay.
It is
Given-
right in the middle.
Given the systems, I'm going to try to metagame slightly because the system seems to encourage low numbers.
That is fair assumption.
So, assuming that's the case, and ELH is not pulling from like the perils of the warp table from a different RPG, then I think re-rolling a lower number would be better. So I would spend the point of momentum, and I shall re-roll.
Okay.
Well, we're screwed.
All right.
But we had, we had
Our
2
ridiculous
floating
luck
momentum.
had to run out at some point.
Well, I was going to say, so you can only do the spend once. So
Yeah.
the other floating momentum just kind of goes away. Unless you had like a question you guys wanted to ask, you could spend that point of floating momentum for a question.
Out of character, I'd like to know what the reaction of the Tholian crew was to the Ophion splitting apart and going into a quantum slipstream.
I
We'll
actually
never
will
know,
get
but-
to that in character shortly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, any questions from anyone, really?
No,
we-
I'm pretty much along for the ride.
Well, since I pointed it out in the chat and didn't ask it here, did we set a course properly?
I would
would've
say you did some. You know what? Let's resolve that because you would have had time to do this. So let's put us back on this map. So where you see the little the little Ophion token is where you were. Now, do you all want to go this way? Do you want to go? Because that way goes back to Federation space, and to sort of go that direction. You'd be at a QSD sooner, but at the same time, you would have to go up and then back around to get to the Sabine Expanse again.
I think being back in Federation space and running this extremely unstable, hypothetical, theoretical technology for the least amount of time would be best. So,
Plus, I imagine Starfleet Command will want to thoroughly debrief us as soon as we get back.
So, whatever starbase is closest to the Mudor system,
well,
that would probably.
You know what? I'll look it up later. I'll look it up during break. All right, so
of course for starbase, yada yada yada, and engage.
All right, so here's what's going to
Starbase
happen.
about to get one hell of a surprise.
Yes. So
I just imagine it's a backwater starbase. It only sees minimal Tholian traffic every once in a very while. Skeleton crew, and all of a sudden, sir, there's a quantum portal opening.
And is that Axel F playing in the background?
Oh God. I'm guessing nobody looked up the Mudor system and what's there, right?
No.
Nope.
Did you just do so?
Yes, I did.
Spinning my point of momentum, can we find out what's in the Mudor system?
you can. What is in the Mudor system?
I will read it straight from Memory Alpha. In
Okay.
2368, the USS Enterprise D completed a mission at Mudor 5 and was enjoying a respite from duties before the next assignment began, when the ship collided with a quantum filament and was severely damaged.
Okay, this will be entertaining.
TNG episode Disaster.
I just watched that last week.
I'm
If
sure
there wasn't a name for this episode, I think Disaster works quite well.
Well, but then again, if there's a quantum filament there, then there wouldn't be a starbase there, so we're not heading directly there.
Yeah, and because that's what I was looking forward to, kind of be ahead of the curve and to help ELH out. But
I appreciate it.
I'm trying to find a starbase that's somewhere near there. So I just happened to read that and thought it was funny.
If you have the big map that's in the book, I think it's under resources somewhere. Anyway, no, we still got to describe
I'll keep looking.
narratively. Yeah, we got to describe narratively what's happening. So again, the Ophion enters into the slipstream. You see the hourglass-shaped swirl of energy around you. And for the first few seconds, everything seems green across the board. It's working. You're moving as you're expected. And right about 3 seconds in, Hailong, since Locke is busy, Hailong reports, "Sir, I'm detecting the Adela site on an intercept course through their network."
What the? Okay, I wasn't aware that they could travel quantum. Can we outrun them, outpace them, avoid them?
One moment, sir. She frantically types at the console, crunches some numbers, and says, "Sir, we're gonna end up being intercepted approximately, maybe about a week out from Federation space.
Will we be out of Tholian space?
We would be in unclaimed territory, sir."
Great. Can we, Locke, stop reading numbers aloud. Locke, can we hail them in this quantum space?
Maybe. It is actually where the communication should work well. We are kind of... Actually, no, it's subspace communication works via going through subspace. it would be trying to transmit through another dimension. We'd have to wait for them to get closer to hail.
Shatsu, shields.
I can't raise them while we're in the slipstream, sir.
Fair enough.
Right.
Then we will...
Captain, why am I getting proximity alarms coming up on my screen?
It seems the Dell site was not quite happy with us leaving Tholian space. They're taking their mission very, very seriously.
All right. So, that is actually all the time you will spend in QSD.
Yep.
So, let me just quickly change some tokens and make sure they're on the proper layer. Yes, they are. Excellent. And I will put us on this map and describe what you're seeing. So, how do I want to say this? The Ophion leaves QSD literally all of 3 AU from a massive black hole. And not seconds later, the Adelisite also drops out of warp. Well, they're transwarp, whatever we're calling the Tholian web sort of movement. But it drops out of warp.
The webway.
The webway, there we go. Yeah, we'll just play 40k. They use the webway. But immediately, the Adelisite does hail the Ophion.
Very well. Open. Let's hear it.
All right, so on screen is, again, Commander Nostrine, and he says, "Thank you for the demonstration of your technology. However, we cannot allow you to give this technology to the rest of the Federation."
Commander Nostrine, you have 6... Thank you so very much for escorting us out of Tholian space. Your mission is complete.
The communication ends there.
Very
and...
well. No, I'm not done yet.
I know. I'm just going to say, you all have one action before Starship Combat will start.
Okay, in that case, Murthrin's going to sort of look over the table at Zenixia and goes, "Battle stations," and hits the shields on the gamma section.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. If this is how they want to play it, then this is how they want to play it. My last action will be to red alert and transmit the info. I'm going to have Sienna compile the information gained on the Tholian Webway network and transmit it to Starbase 214.
Okay. So she does transmit that and says, "Sir, the Adelisite is not happy about that. They are coming at us full tilt."
They were not going to be happy with us anyways. Now I've just made them... This is on them.
All right. So, let us get into Starship Combat here. Now, I know in the past we've kind of given each section of the Ophion its own turn. While that's not a bad idea...
That's giving it crazy action economy.
Yeah, it does give you pretty much insane action economy. So here's what we're going to do to limit that. We are actually going to use crew support here. I think this is like the only time it's ever been used, because I don't think I've seen any other game use it. So I believe as a Scale 5 ship, you have 5 crew support, which means 5 NPCs can be part of combat. No more. And to be nice, I'm going to say that Shatsu does not count, because otherwise that would needlessly limit you. So just keep that in mind, that you have all of your turns, then 5 NPCs, and then the Adelisite. And the Adelisite gets pretty much the same amount of turns you guys do. So let's see.
On account of being a 2-kilometer long dreadnought.
So let's see. There's 5 players at the moment because Panek is not here, so that's a grand total of 10 turns from the Ophion.
I've just realized, because of how big it is, targeting one end at close range means the other end is at medium range.
Yeah. And that actually brings up some points I need to point out. So obviously, you can see the black hole in the middle. Shooting across the black hole is going to confer a +1 difficulty and will increase the complication range to 18 to 20. In addition, should you, say, begin to enter the vortex, so say the gamma section was here, you would need to spend an amount of power equal to 1/3 of your maximum each round, not each turn, each round, or the ship will begin to fall towards the event horizon. And I don't think I need to tell you what happens if, that happens.
We win the fight.
Well, you go to another universe, another multiverse. We don't know how black holes work.
There's a brief weird section where you've got like a robot holding up a guy out against a sort of flame background for some reason.
Oh God, that is an old school reference.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Oh, wow.
I love it. You know what? I'm going to give you... you normally would lose a point of momentum. Stay the momentum you're at. I love it.
I was actually just about to make the same reference. So.
We're all nerds here.
Yeah.
All right.
Great
the other thing I got to point out.
But me, I'm just proud that I still remember that sequence from when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, I was like 8.
I have it on DVD. I watched it like a month ago. Weird.
So the other thing I got to point out is you should see sort of these gray circles because the initial kind of token art wasn't showing up. Those are debris fields. They could be literally just chunks of metal. They could be from broken up planets, whatever you'd like to flavor them in your mind. And the way those will work is if you are inside or on the other side of the debris field, they provide 2 challenge die worth of resistance. However, if you roll effects on those challenge die, it goes down by 1 dice per resistance, or 1 resistance per effect. And I think that's it. Oh, no, wait, I forgot about the comet. So if it comes into play, this comet down here to the south is currently, and I'm going to say this would be something your sensors would immediately tell you, this comet is doomed to fall into the black hole unless something diverts it. And, for a comet, it's going pretty fast, but in a cosmic sense, it's slow. But, it's there in case you have any random ideas that might involve it.
I do, actually.
Yeah. So we do start with the players. So who is acting first?
Real quick,
Mm-hmm.
Beckett, do you want Matic on engineering or tactical, or where do you want Matic?
Engineering's good. Tactical, we still have Lindholm, who happens to apparently roll really, really well. So, engineering would be good.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. So, who is going first? Is it a PC or an NPC?
Probably whoever scrolls to the combat rules sections first.
Locke is going to start things off and scan for weakness because that's what he does.
So, if I remember scan for weakness properly, it is 1 difficulty for each range beyond close. So, you being on Alpha, you're currently 14 units away. That would be extreme range. So, it would be 1 for medium, 1 for long, and then 1 for extreme. So, I think that makes it a difficulty 4.
Okay. My suggestion is that we split up, move around the black hole, and see if we can't take this thing from both sides, and see if we can't limit its movement straight into the black hole.
I mean, if it gets stuck in a position where it has to focus all its efforts on not getting pulled in, that gives us probably all the time we need to escape.
Precisely.
Well, I mean, it's going to take them a little bit to get around that black hole unless they try to go through it. We could all just jump to warp and hope that the black hole delays them a little bit longer. Hopefully, we get an additional Federation ship out here.
Actually, no, that's a good point.
Our top
If
warp
we go
is
at warp,
faster
they'll
than
just chase us down with their slipstream equivalent.
No,
Except that we had to
they're
take-
out of their web.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, they are.
Um,
Still.
But
Not
Beta's
to-
warp reactor was partially taken offline to get the QSD.
Oh, yes, that's a good
Yeah,
point. We're
the
actually
thing I
not
wanted
in
to
a
point
position
out
where we
is
can
you guys are
easily
kind of
warp.
on a cooldown right now of going to warp. I would say if it goes that long, 5 total rounds of combat before you can warp away.
Which is plenty of time for them to shred us.
I say let them close in the gap.
If only I still had that tri-cobalt device. Oh well.
All right.
It went to a good cause.
It blew something up well. Anyways, yeah, I like the idea of circling around the black hole and pincering it.
Okay. So when it comes to helm actions, you of course have Sona. Moving at impulse, so anywhere within 10 units, would cost 1 power. Or you can simply do no power and move anywhere within 6 units.
I think right now our power is better spent in defense, in not being spent yet. So Alpha is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think Alpha should move to G17.
Okay. So Sona can do that, no problem. And that will be your helm action. All right. Up next is the Adelisite. The Adelisite is going to see the Alpha section of the Ophion. It's going to move very slightly. Actually, you know what? Let me check ranges here. It's in range. So what it's going to do is it's going to activate its web generator. And the way I've sort of homebrewed it is it acts like a torpedo. So let me go ahead and roll for the Adelisite, and let's see what happens. So they got what they needed, I think. Let me double check. Yes, they got what they needed. And so around the Alpha section of the Ophion, immediately this sort of golden web, golden lattice of energy forms. And no, not a temporal anomaly. That is what we want.
Oh, right, they can do that.
Yes. So mechanically, because, I'd rather not, spring it on you. So mechanically, it restricts movement, and as long as you're within the web, you're going to take damage every single round. And you can't shoot out. You can shoot the nodes of the web to break it, but you cannot shoot out of it. And each round, the web also restricts doing increased damage. So to start off with, it's going to do a grand total of 7 damage. So make sure to apply resistance and that before reducing shields and whatnot.
Ophion Alpha section is... how much shield do I start with? That wasn't marked on the...
You should have shields equal to, what is it? Structure and something. Let me look.
Plus an additional 5.
Yeah, so you start off with 19 shields, actually.
19. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm updating the tokens now. Apparently, it didn't fill it in properly.
19,
Yeah, structure,
all the way up.
security, and any
Yeah.
power.
And
Okay, shields
then
19.
Alpha. So the other thing that I'm seeing on the sheet that's wrong is the resistance for all sections is actually 5, because you guys have a blade of armor.
Where is the resistance on this thing?
It's the same as scale, and you're scale 3 at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think with resistance 5, you take all of 2 damage to your shields.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. All right. Up next is someone on the Ophion's turn.
I am thinking of maybe creating an advantage, like getting a scan of that comet and passing and realizing, oh, that's something we could use.
Okay. That would be 2 momentum.
Does that sound good to folks?
Sure.
All right, so I will spend 2 momentum to create an advantage with that comet.
Okay. And since
And-
since it is your advantage, how would you describe what you're learning from the comet?
Well, I'm thinking that our initial sensor sweep as we sort of get ready to go into combat, I notice, hang on, that comet has an unstable mix of like magnetically active radioactive particles sort of embedded in its ice.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, it's just going straight into the black hole. But if we could nudge its course, it could sort of miss the black hole and then slingshot around anti-clockwise and then slam straight into the Adelisite and completely scramble their sensors.
I love it. What I would say is that can all happen, but in order to...
Well, like, this is just to realize that's an option.
Right, but in order to get the comet slingshotting around the black hole, you would need to close within close range of the comet, and I do need to move it a little bit, so it's right about there now. So you would need to be within 1 to 2 units to activate your tractor beam, and I would say that the actual act of nudging it with the tractor beam will just be the same task.
So as the scan goes in, sort of, Mithrin will sort of notice that, look up at Zenix. Oh no, Zenixia's on the Alpha Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So look up at Prague and say, see that comet there?
Yeah, I see it. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I think I am. Get the tractor beam primed.
Understood, sir.
And Mithrin's going to just boost straight towards it, which I think is more than 6 units.
Yeah, so if you want to move beyond 6 units, you got to spend 1 power.
Alright, so I will spend 1 power to get over on Z16.
Okay.
Once I find where the power is on Gamma section.
Should be the second bar of your token.
That would help if I actually selected the select tool.
Yeah, that's one thing I find annoying is the ruler tool. It prevents you from doing a lot of things, but you know. We work with what we
The
can.
orange section?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that is your helm action. All right, up next is the Adelisite, and let's check ranges here. I don't think you're in range. No, you're at extreme range. I'll tell you what the Adelisite will do, though, is it will move right about there. So right about there, a little bit angled. Right about there for its helm action. All right. Up next is Ophion again.
Might be time
I've
just for
already
the doctor
moved,
to
so-
revisit his murderous side.
I'm thinking get one of the NPCs to sort of do the tractor beam activation thing so that that's set and out of the way.
Yeah, if you want to do that now, we can have Prague roll for that.
Sounds good. Let me get his sheet. And hopefully he's good at operating tractor beams.
It's been a while since I looked at his sheet, so I don't know.
I think he's a hollow specialist.
Yeah, he's a hollow specialist. Also, just so you know, tractor beam counts as your tactical action, and it is
Alrighty.
a control security assisted by the ship's structure security, and it is at difficulty 2.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. Assisted by structure security on the ship's part?
Correct.
Now I'm wondering whether it might almost be a smarter idea to wait until Mithrin can go again to do that.
Well, you
Although,
can-
mind you, then it's still going to take time for the comet to sling around.
Right.
How many hexes did the comet move on its quote unquote turn?
It moved 1, but I will say that causing it to slingshot... Yeah, I need to move it again. Causing it to slingshot will significantly speed that up.
Alright.
Okay.
Let's
so, well, what I was thinking was if it's going to curve towards the black hole, like going down a drain,
Mhm.
If we wait till, say, here or here, if we can, then it's almost a straight shot of hitting the Adelisite. To where you either
Well, the thing is,
Gamma
it'll
or
have to like
I.
slingshot all the way around. Is the thing, because of the angle it's going at.
Yeah. So it's going to go up here, circle around up here, come back here, and then slam into the Adelisite, hypothetically.
Oh,
Provided
Yeah.
Gamma can keep them there.
okay. Then I have ideas. Okay, I didn't. I wasn't thinking that it was going to make a complete trip around.
Oh well, we do have a fair bit of momentum, so I think I'll give Prag a shot at it.
Okay.
Control plus security for him,
Mhm.
and I will. Yep, he doesn't have any talents or anything that apply. So okay, if I spend 3 momentum to give him 2 extra dice.
Sure.
All right, make it happen.
And that's rolled. Woohoo.
So
Okay, let's see if the ship can help.
Yeah, let's see what the ship gets.
Nothing.
Okay. So here's the complication. You succeeded, but there is, a bit of a problem. So the gamma section emits a tractor beam towards the comet and begins to adjust its trajectory. And right on its turn, it comes right. I'm just going to add it to the turn order so I don't forget it. It comes after you guys. So it's going to begin careening towards the black hole. However, the complication is, unless someone or a section of the ship readjusts its trajectory, if it reaches this green square, so Q19, and the trajectory is not adjusted, it will fall into the black hole. But you have got it going at a significant speed. And on its turn, it is going to go all the way to here. And up next is the
Quick, catch that
Adelisite.
comet!
Yeah. Up next is the Adelisite. And now that you are in range, it is going to check its sheet. It is going to fire another web at you. So let's see what the Adelisite rolls. 1, 2. So actually, it's not enough. So a web begins to coalesce around Gamma section, but whoever's at the helm is swift enough to move the ship out of the way before the web can sort of surround the ship. So you're fine. But up next, we come back around to the players.
Back at
I. Huh. 2, 3. Huh. What if we tetherball the comet? Meaning, the beta comes over the top of it to act as the pole of the tetherball. Grab it with the tractor beam and sling it back the other direction.
I like it.
So, like a tetherball at the end of the rope will come back around.
What I will say is that will increase the difficulty of the tractor beam task to 3.
It's a good thing I've got Matic on my end of the ship, who probably is pretty good at this thing.
The other thing I'll say is that you do have to be within 2 units of the comet to do that.
Okay, and how many can we move in a turn?
You can move up to 6 without spending any power. However, you do have to spend 2 momentum to keep the initiative then.
Didn't Murthrin just spend the 3 momentum?
Yeah, so you'd have to give me a momentum and a threat.
Okay. Yeah, screw it. We will give you a threat and a momentum, and we will move. Let me find the ruler deal so that way I can draw a line. We will go across it. Oh shit! I want to do an angle. but start at like P22, come
Mhm.
across it that way.
I can get you to this hexagon here.
Okay. I think that'll work. If we come around over, yeah, exactly. Come over the top of it, grab it, and then maybe, hopefully, sling it that direction.
Okay. So yeah, helm action goes off, no problem. Now it is whoever's doing the tactical action for beta. So this can be Matic. This can be, I believe I had Ty set up. Yes, Miss Ty is your other security option.
Okay.
What's the role?
It is a control security, assisted by the ship's structure security. And as I said, the difficulty is a 3.
Yeah, my control security is a 16, so
Yeah, you're doing it because Ty's only 11 total.
All right.
She's control 9, security 2. Lindholm, however, is a 17 control security.
For sake of argument, let's put Lindholm on Gamma.
Okay.
We probably
will
should have
do-
done that earlier, but, you know.
who's
I will. Lindholm was a player that we had.
For 2 sessions before I took over.
I wouldn't even call it 2 sessions. He was asleep for most of it.
I was letting someone else deal out the burn.
Okay.
Okay, so then, Matic, I think you're better at this because, like I said, Ty is only control 9, security 2, so she's not going to be good at this.
Alright. Troll security. I'll give you another threat for a dice.
Okay.
And then we've spent all of our momentum, so I need to get rid of that
I
token.
gotcha.
Trying to figure out how I could bullshit one of my focuses is to work, but they won't.
Yeah.
I'm using power of the ship to turn on the tractor beam to move the
Nah.
comment.
Nah, it was a nice try, but nah.
Does the comet count as an
Yeah.
alien technology?
It's an alien, and I'm using technology to move it.
Oh, God. All right, so that's 3 successes. That's all you need. But let's see if the ship gets you any momentum. Or if it was a complication.
I've got beta section up, and you said structure and security?
Correct.
All right. No applicable focus. Ship's really not... This is not a ship's focus.
Well, ship always has a focus.
Boom!
Not that it matters. It rolls a 1. So yeah, you guys get 2 momentum. And what's going to happen on the Comet's turn is, like a tetherball, the tractor beam sends it careening towards the Adelisite. Now, let me check what I had for it. So for this Comet, given what Mirthrin has made the advantage, I'm going to say it will do 14 challenge die worth of damage. And it also will have a dampening effect, so it'll lose some power. But I need anyone, to do the 14 challenge die.
May I do the honors?
Absolutely.
But most importantly, what does Matic say as he tetherballs the comet into the ship? Because this is like witty one-liner situation right here.
This is true.
I've got something.
Go for it.
Yeah.
This is the one time I hope the goalie blocks the ball.
Nice.
I'll take it. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So, what I forgot to mention was it also has vicious. So let's just go ahead and deal with this. All right. So that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 damage from the comet. The comet is no more. The Adelisite has. I'm just going to
I
tell
think
you.
that would be enough to one-shot the Ophion.
Yeah, it's enough to one-shot the Ophion. The Adelicite, so people can keep me honest, has 14 resistance. So 22 minus 14, that's 8 damage to their shields and a breach.
2 momentum to do penetration to ignore 4 of that, so we get 12.
No, you can't do it for the comet.
Yeah, says.
You can't do it for the comet.
What if we give you 2 threats?
If you give me 4 threat, I'll let it happen.
4 threat for 6 resistance?
You're playing a dangerous game here.
He hasn't said no.
I mean, I'm waiting for you guys to make a decision as a player group.
I mean, I think 4 threat for 4 resistance isn't a bad deal.
What if we give you 14 threat for 14 resistance?
Then Q shows up, blows up the Adelicite, commends you all on a job well done. Everybody gets a commemorative badge. There's drinks all around. And the Tholians surrender to the Federation.
Says, no, that's boring. Let's do a reset. And just winds time back to before.
Oh, God. So yeah, are you going for the resistance spend or not?
I mean, it's up to y'all.
I'm okay with 4 threat for an extra 4 resistance off the damage.
It's not like the GM doesn't have enough threat already, so sure.
Okay. So, I'm not hearing any no's. So in that case, it will do a grand total of... Did I calculate that right? 22 minus 10. So it will do 12 damage. More than enough, not to kill its shields completely, but definitely for a breach. And Murthrin, since you did roll the challenge die, if you could also roll me a d20 so we can see where it hit. An 8. Oh, would you look at that? It hit its engines. So, as the comet careens into the front end of the Adelicite, you see it explode and scatter into pieces that then explode further as it cascades across the Tholian ship. And their shields flicker and just barely hold on, but you can see very visibly that there are chain little explosions across the ship. Now, obviously, for a 2-kilometer long ship, they're not great in the, grand scheme of scale, but you're still seeing some explosions. And the ship loses power almost completely. So you see the running lights flicker, you see the ship sort of list a little bit, but it still has shields, it still has power.
So the 2 breaches, they both go to engines, or it's 1 and 1?
To both engines.
Okay. And it needs how many before engines are just gone?
The way breaches work is it's based on scale, and since it's a scale 14, you would need 7 breaches to just damage it. Yeah.
I think at this point we need to do like 2 or 3 rounds of just suppression fire.
Yeah, it's a solid tactic. All right.
Agreed.
So, on the Adelicite's turn, they're not thrilled with beta section. So I'm going to spend some threat here. And I'm going to do this roll, and then I'm going to roll some additional d20. Alright, so that's already 5 successes. And I did say I was spending the threat, so I will be honest and spend the threat to roll 2 additional d20. Okay, let me check their fire weapon. That's only 1 more success, so I get I believe I get 2 threat back. In any case, what happens is, in a terrifying display of energy charge, the sort of circling section that's sort of towards the mid part of the vessel begins to spin, and from each of the fins that sort of stick up begin to coalesce in a sort of triangular prism fashion in front of the ship. And seconds later, a massive beam of tetrions fires at beta section. So I'm not going to lie, this is going to hurt a lot. Unless I roll zeros. Good news, it does not have effects on it. So,
All right, well, it was nice knowing you, boys. I will start making my new character now.
well, it's not
Maybe
all
we'll
bad.
get a new ship.
Let's work through it. So, the beta section of the Ophion has 5 resistance, so that's a total of 9 damage. Then, you take 9 damage to shields, which...
Let me just upload the visual effect of that to the chat.
So I think that only takes you down to 10 shields, but that is enough for a breach. So let's find out where the breach is.
I believe we still have a breach from the Mirror Universe fights on one of the sections.
That is correct, and as luck would have it, it is the structure of beta, which is where you were hit before. So, I believe at this point you are dealing with a damaged structure. So, narratively, what happens is the beam tears chunks out of the hull, and there are breaches all across the upper, we'll say the upper half of the beta section. So all along the saucer part. And casualty reports begin pouring in, to the point where I actually do need to roll for who's on beta section. Let's see, there's 5 of you acting at the moment. Maddock, how do you feel about being injured?
Hey, I have a question.
I might have an answer.
How do you, how is a ship's resistance added together?
So it's scale, which is 3, and you have a blade of armor, which is an additional +2.
Okay, I just saw the ablative armor, so I wanted to ask in case we hadn't added that together.
No, as I noted earlier, the sheets were not correct. So,
okay.
So yeah, Maddock, as I seem to really hate you when it comes to rolling wounds, you at your console, the console, very similar to what happened to Locke a few sessions ago, the console explodes, and you are considered to have a lethal injury as you get a series of burns and other sort of concussion marks, unless you spend determination to avoid it.
Man, if only the chief medical officer was in the same room you are.
Mm-hmm.
You'd spend 2 momentum to ignore it completely, but then that uses up all our momentum.
Yeah, I was going to say that would use your momentum.
I mean, we could spend the 2 momentum, or I could spend my determination, or Beckett could come down and save me, or I can use field medicine.
I don't think you can field medicine yourself.
Says who?
Watch him try.
You wanna bet?
Your call.
I'm trying to find the talent section. Oh, there it is. Because I kind of have a few medical talents, if you know, sometimes.
Well, we can't have the doctor bored, can we?
Commanding a firefight while initiating triage on the bridge. I think this is his second proudest moment, and the first still being when he destroyed 2 Romulan warbirds.
Mm-hmm. I hope he's keeping a kill count.
Might almost be up there with Mirthrin.
Merthyr committed genocide.
That was one time.
Let's face it, you can't survive. After a certain point in Starfleet, it's really assumed that you have a body count somewhere.
I thought you were about to say that it's assumed you've committed genocide.
I am keeping a track of Beckett's body
I mean, given
count,
how
but
many
he doesn't
alternate
like to brag.
universes the Federation hops into.
Oh God.
Okay, I can do. Will it take up one of my section's actions for me to try to save him?
Yes, it will take your action to do it.
Okay. Then I will do
That's
that.
a good use of an action.
I will attempt to use first aid, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that says I can do first aid and not take a lot of penalties.
Okay. So then you're not spending determination. You're not spending threat. Hopefully my internet did not just disconnect.
Yeah.
I think it might have. I just lost everything.
I just
For
lost.
me, everyone except for myself disconnected.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just
Let me
lost.
see.
Maybe it's roll 20.
Yeah, it's roll
And
20. Thank God.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say because I still have all you guys in Discord and the Twitch stream is still going.
Okay, so it was just roll 20 then. Yeah, you guys are coming back in now. Don't give us a heart attack, roll 20. This is important. All right, so, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So, that was the Tholians' first turn. But like you, since I have the threat, they're going to maintain the initiative order. And they're actually not going to attack you.
Who could have foreseen this?
Yeah, they're not actually going to attack you, but they are going to do some power management. Okay, so they will get back that much power. Very good. Because it would just be embarrassing if the biggest ship just lost all its power.
No, we wouldn't tell anyone.
We
Yeah,
totally tell everyone.
We come back around to the player's turn. So I believe it is going to be Beckett running over, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So, if I remember properly, this is going
Also,
to
at
be...
some point, Alpha should probably do something about that web it's in.
That would be nice.
So this is going to be... I'm going to qualify it as your command action, just so we're keeping track of it.
Sounds good.
And, yeah, since this is not telling me the difficulty of the injury, I'm going to say this is going to be either a control or a daring medicine. The difficulty here is going to be a 4, I think.
Okay. I have field medicine, which may ignore any increase in difficulty for working without the proper tools or equipment.
Okay, that'll knock it down to 3.
I also have first response. Whenever you attempt the first aid task during combat, you gain a bonus d20. Further, you may always succeed at cost. With each complication you suffer, adding +1 to the difficulty of healing the patient's injury subsequently.
Okay.
So I get an extra d20 just off the bat.
Okay.
And the other one I have, which is doctor's order, is not going to do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we will handle that in 1 second.
Can I
Let's see,
assist?
No, you cannot assist yourself.
All right. Control
No, that's supposed to be there.
plus medicine. Dice pool is 3d20. I will.
He just grimaces the plasma burns into submission.
Screw it. I'll spend a momentum
Okay.
to make it 4d20.
Actually, it would be 2d12 or 2 momentum because you do get the bonus die.
Even though it's the first momentum expenditure for a dice?
Yeah, so it's something that this isn't very clear about in the rules, but bonus die count towards your 5 die maximum. So
Okay.
because of that, that also affects your momentum spends, and it also affects my threat spends.
Okay, then I won't spend a momentum. If it was 1 for 1, it would be okay, but let me cancel that. Still be 3d20. Applicable focus, emergency medicine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you succeed, but there's a complication. So,
okay.
Would you care to describe it, or should I?
Maddox gets yet another scar.
Of what the complication is?
No, how you're treating Matic.
You know what? I'm gonna do the movie thing. I'm gonna pull off my my uniform jacket, like a la Picard, unzip it, and I'm going to start ripping pieces off of it to cover the bandages, or to use as bandaging. And I don't have any of the appropriate tools to be able to like start sewing stuff together, but at least stop the blood loss. And putting pressure on wounds, so that way I can do what I'm going to do after I get done with all these rolls.
Okay. So the complication here is that while Matic will remain conscious thanks to this roll, every single turn, keyword here turn, I'm going to need Matic to roll me a fitness security, because that's basically constitution. And the difficulty will start at a 2, or start at a 1, go up to 2, go up to 3, etc., etc. So basically, it gets harder and harder for Matic to remain conscious.
Okay. My next thing was going to be yell for the emergency, the EMH, to come take Matic to whatever we're using as a sickbay and start working on him. I'm not going to do site to site because I know that's just going to make things complicated with power and everything.
Okay.
So I'll just call the EMH to come get him and take him to wherever we're going, and I will yell at Lieutenant Commander Ty to transfer whatever was at Lock Station to her station, and she'll start handling it.
Okay. Now, Matic, we've assumed sort of that you're going to go with the EMH, but would you like to stay on the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was in engineering, but I think, yeah, I'll just be like, no, I'm not going to go to sick bay. I'm going to go to the bridge and work up there. If you have a problem with that bed kit, you can write me up later.
All right. And I'm actually going to amend what I say. I am going to make it per round because it occurs to me that if we did it per turn, you'd be out by, the time it came back around. So, all right.
You doubt my abilities?
I doubt your ability to roll consecutive 5 successes.
I will add to the end of Maddox. You can write me up afterwards. If you fall unconscious, you're leaving the bridge.
I suppose he doesn't have much choice in the matter, does he?
Well, I was about to put him unconscious.
All right. So, up next is the Adelicite. And what the Adelicite's going to do, thinking it's struck a good blow on the beta section, is it's going to do a scan for weakness on Gamma. Which succeeds. Look at that. All right, so just remember, Gamma, that next time they fire, they've got piercing. And I'm just going to put a little skull mark on you. That's not ominous at all. All right, now we come back around to the player's turn. So what are you all doing?
Console's making the BP light noise. I don't like the BP light noise.
So just refresh my memory. We can't move until this Tholian web thing is gone?
Correct. You cannot move out of the web until you've destroyed enough nodes to exit it.
Okay, and how many nodes can be destroyed per turn?
So I'm going to say you have, if you recall, phaser arrays have the ability to do area or spread. By doing an area attack, you could affect enough nodes.
It is. Sorry?
Is the web is stationary, right?
Correct.
Or is it? We are really close to the black hole. Is the web being distorted by that?
I'm going to say that normally, since you're at close range, you would have a +1 difficulty for your phasers. But because the black hole is distorting the web, I'm going to say that that increase in difficulty is essentially nullified. So it's just a flat 2 difficulty.
All right. Shatsu area of attack. Let's get rid of these pesky insects.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a Shatsu roll.
Yep. Shatsu's control plus security, and the ship's assisting with weapons security.
Oh, the ship.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, interesting. Would you like me to do the complication, or would you like to spend momentum to get rid of it?
Let's see what the captain does. Or Shatsu does.
Oh, she already rolled 2, though.
Yeah. So we did succeed. We just have a complication. And I would prefer not to have a complication. So I'll spend the threat, or I'll spend the momentum to get rid of it.
Okay. Alrighty. So
And is that
now I just need you to roll me damage on your phasers, just to see how many nodes you knock out.
That was challenge dice. How many was on phasers?
Should be scale plus security. So for you, it's
6.
6? Yeah.
6.
No, that's not right. Ophion had... Okay, Ophion has 3, Shatsu has 5, so
no,
8.
it's not Shatsu's score, it's the ship's score.
Oh, it's the ships. Okay, so...
Which is 3.
Yeah. Should be 6.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I will say, because I want to be nice about this mechanic, you are able to destroy 4 nodes, which will allow you to exit the web. You just have to spend a helm action to do it.
Sure.
All right. So, up next is the Adelicite. And the Adelicite is going to fire again, this time at Gamma Section. And I believe the total difficulty is a 4 for them. So I'm going to spend some threat here as well. I'm going to spend 3 threat here to give them 2 additional die. Okay, so they already have 3 successes. And I believe that's what they need. Yes, so they get a threat back. So Gamma, how you doing there, buddy?
How am I doing?
Well, we're going to find out. So this has piercing 2 on it, which might come into play quite a bit. All right, so this is a grand total of 17 challenge die. We do not want to see effects here. We see effects. I'm pretty sure you have no resistance to this.
Yeah, just 5 resistance on the hull.
Yeah, so you're going to take 17 damage to your shields. And because it is such a severe attack, I'm going
I
to
have
say...
1 shield left.
Yeah, I'm going to say you are going to take 2 breaches. So let's roll and see where those breaches are. A 4 and a 3. Okay. As luck would have it, or otherwise, it's going to strike your engines. So immediately, Gamma Section loses 2 power. And until you perform the Restore Minor action, all tasks assisted by the ship's engines or have a power requirement increase in difficulty and complication range by 1.
Yeah, we are almost dead in the water.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, yeah, Alpha, don't forget to subtract 1 from power for phasers, so you should be at 4. Okay, so that's the Adelicite's turn. We come back around to the Ophion crew.
Matic will
left to
regenerate
act?
shields. Matic hasn't gone yet.
Didn't you do the tractor beam?
Oh yeah, I did do the tractor beam.
Yeah, so you've already gone. Who hasn't gone at this point?
I think Block technically hasn't gone.
Okay.
Or has Sona gone on Alpha to move? Well, yeah, I suppose she had to get us out of the thing.
Yeah. You got to spend an action to get out of the web.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah, we already had our helm to move in there where we got stuck in there initially.
Yeah, so it would be at a +1 difficulty, but the good news is it's just a control plus con, assisted by the engines plus con, and it would be Locke rolling it, not Sona.
Okay.
But it's only a difficulty 1, so it's totally possible for you to do it.
Control plus con. No applicable focuses.
All right, you got the 1. Does the ship get you momentum? And yeah, you can move anywhere within 6 for free power.
So is engines con?
Yep.
Since no one else is saying anything.
All right, you get another momentum. Good stuff. Okay. So, where are you moving the ship, Locke?
There.
Okay, very good. All right, up next is the Adelicite. And at this point, the Adelicite's pretty much already all gone. But it is going to attempt to do something. And that something is going to... check ranges here. Not quite close enough. Nope. Nope. Okay. So the Adelicite is going to move... You know, it thinks that these ships down here are shortly out of the water, almost dead in the waters. So what it's going to do is... going to do another scan for weakness. So that scan for weakness is gone. Let's see what happens. With the increased difficulty, it does succeed. Okay. So, this time, the scan for weakness is going to be on beta section. All right. We come back around to the players. We're almost done with this first round. So, who has not gone on the player side yet? Beckett's gone, Locke's gone, Maddox gone, Murthrin's gone. Skull, I think you have not gone yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Skull can do.
Could we
Sorry?
tractor beam the things and send those? Like same thing as the...
I don't think the metal debris would have as much effect as a giant comet.
Yeah, it's definitely a field of debris. It's not like, big chunks of rock or anything.
What are their shields like, though?
The Adelicites?
Yeah.
The shields are weak.
Yeah, the shields are weak.
No, that's... Well, I can they are medium distance at that?
Let's
6
see.
medium.
They're at 7, so they're at long.
Long. And torpedoes would work.
Mm-hmm.
We can... I mean, at this range, why not? Yeah, it's going to be an extra challenge, or an extra difficulty, but I think a torpedo spread would be a good idea.
Okay. So that does give me some threat.
Yeah.
So, Skull, are you ordering Shatsu to do it, or are you doing it yourself?
I will order Shatsu to do it.
Okay,
She's
so
better
you
at
can
it.
assist with Presence Command. Shatsu is rolling Control plus Security. Ship is rolling Weapons Security. The difficulty is a 4.
Okay. Because I closed and reopened, all my character sheets went away. Sheesh. Shatsu. Let's see. Shatsu, Control plus Security.
Okay, it's 1 for Shatsu.
Skull. It's Presence plus Command.
Okay.
And now the ship. Security.
Okay, so you have 3 successes. Do you have Advisor?
I do not.
Okay. In that case, you only have 3 successes. So, you fire off a volley of photon torpedoes, and they are, we'll say thematically, but not mechanically. Thematically, they are distorted in their path by the black hole. And instead of hitting the Adelicite, they sort of just pass harmlessly between the Adelicite and the Beta and Gamma sections. Alright. So, we come back around to the Adelicite, and Gamma or Beta section, I think you know what's coming. But the good news is this is a difficulty 5 task for them. Bad news, I'm spending threat. Okay.
Oh, how our hubris comes back to bite us.
So, I do need to roll a success here. And I do believe I have. I have. So, good news. You're probably not dead.
We've only got 1 shield left.
Well, Beta section, not Gamma, sorry.
Okay.
Alright, so Beta section, you're going to take 13 damage, which I know kills all of your shield.
Just because I don't want to cheese it. They do have piercing on us because they did do scan for weakness.
Oh no, I'm accounting for that.
Oh.
Yeah, so you take the full 13, which you have 9 shield at the moment, so it's 4 bleed over. So you too are going to get 2 breaches here. And let's see where those breaches are. 13 and a 6. So I know that's engines, so Beta section loses 2 power immediately. And then... where is it? what is the other one? What did I roll? A 13. Structure again, which is not good. So I believe now, since you have 3 breaches to structure, you are considered destroyed?
Disabled, I think.
Disabled, yes, disabled. And disabled structure. Vessel suffers fires and more hull breaches. Someone gets injured again. And the complication range of all engineering tasks to repair systems by 2 reduces the resistance by 1. And the difficulty to repair this is 3. Okay, so I get to roll injury again. We do not want to see a 5. We see a 1. Beckett, how do you feel about being thrown heavily to the deck, slamming against a console?
Sure.
So yeah, Beckett, you get thrown from the force of the attack into a console, and you hit your head hard. So you have a very bad concussion at the moment. Luckily, the EMH was sort of following Matic around, so the EMH will run over to you on the next player turn if you will allow it. But yeah, we come back around to the player's turn. So do we have the EMH act, or does somebody else want to do something?
If I'm not forced out of combat by this,
Mm-hmm.
then somebody else can go.
Well, I guess that is the question. Do you want to spend your determination to stay up?
Yes.
Okay. So...
and it's based off values, correct?
Yes.
Cool. I have 3 that will work.
Mm-hmm.
I have serving Starfleet as family tradition.
Mm-hmm.
I have under the worst conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have not losing another one.
You know what? I think those would all apply wonderfully.
Especially that last one.
Yeah. So yeah, you're still up. So I believe at this point it's either one of you guys repeats or does another action, or we do an NPC action.
Perhaps NPC on or evasive action on beta?
We're dead in the water.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you were. My bad.
Would someone other than Merthrin be able to do the restore minor action to get Gamma up and running again?
Yeah, it's Prag could do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, Prag already did the tractor beam. Who else is on?
No, Matic did tractor beam. Remember?
Oh, that's right. No, Merthrin just talked to Prag. Okay, so Prag will sort of do the emergency countermeasures to sort of stop the fires.
Okay, so that's the minor action. What is Prag doing for his full action?
Yeah, because I want to save the restoring shield. Actually, no, because this turn's about to reset, so the difficulty for restoring shields won't go up. So, yeah, he's going to try and restore some shield power.
Okay.
Once I find it.
Regenerate shields. This has a power requirement of 1 and requires a control and engineering, difficulty 1. And the ship is assisting by structures and engineering. The difficulty increases by +1 if the shields are at 0, so difficulty 2. And you regain 2 points of shield plus 2 more for each momentum.
We do have 1 shield left on Gamma.
Do you?
Yeah, there's a tiny sliver of blue.
I had to zoom in to see it. You do. So yeah, difficulty 1 then.
We don't have any momentum, and I really don't want to give you more threat. So let's just hope those 2 dice do something.
Okay.
And structure plus what was it for the ship?
Structure and I just had it. Engineering.
Alrighty.
I see red. And I'm going to be nice and I'm going to take threat for that instead of the complication. Okay, you guys get a momentum. All right. So, as we reset the turn order, refresh everyone's dots. All right. So, Locke, this isn't going to cost you an action, but your sensor readout on Alpha indicates that there is a vessel coming out of warp near Beta and Gamma section.
15 warp signature, Captain. Can't tell which direction it's coming from.
It is coming from the southwest on this map.
Identify?
So to identify it, you can either spend a point of momentum, which you just got, or you can simply wait to see what it is.
Because it is coming out of warp.
Mm-hmm.
Do we spend the momentum? Or do we...
Nah.
We're going to find out soon enough.
We'll find out momentarily. May as well keep the momentum for something useful.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the dramatic sort of tension-building moment in the episode.
Mm-hmm. Like
Naturally.
getting hit wasn't already.
Well,
Bring us around the black hole. Prepare another series of photon torpedoes. Let's see what we can do to draw the attention away from the other sections.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything Gamma can do to sort of block fire.
When do you want me to roll that fitness security for Matic?
How about now?
Okay. Power systems, because I'm trying to keep my own power running.
No.
2d20?
Yeah.
What's the difficulty? One?
Right now it's a 1.
What if I use a phaser as kind of like a taser to keep myself
No.
awake? No.
In your haste, you accidentally bump a couple buttons and you lose a leg. But on the plus side, the wound is now cauterized.
All right, you passed. You're still up and conscious, Matic. That's what matters. All right. So, who's acting among the players?
I think I'll have Mirthrin try to regenerate shields on the Ophion.
Okay.
On the Gamma section.
Okay. Same roles before?
I don't think I know my ship would apply, because I'm not trying to work out what the source of a technical problem is. I know what the problem is.
I'll let it apply.
Oh, no, jury rig does apply, I think. 'cause
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you have at least one talent that applies here.
So, jury rig to reduce the engineering task down by 2 to 0. However, the repairs only last a single scene, plus 1 per momentum spent before they fail again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Mirthrin just sort of like bypassing a couple of very important power regulators to just juice up the shields for just emergency power.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and
So-
roll control and engineering for you, and the ship
So
is
that'll-
structure engineering.
And it'll be difficulty 0, so hopefully we'll get some momentum out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Ship power systems applicable focus?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, good start.
Nice.
Okay.
And structure and engineering from the ship. Alright, so that's
Look
a
at
total
that.
of 3 momentum.
And I've put it on Mirthrin for the time being. Okay.
Yep, and I will spend one of those points of momentum to get an extra 2 shields.
Okay, so I believe that brings you up to 7 shields.
I might survive the hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we come back around to the Adelisite, and the Adelisite is not even turning to bother with the, physically it doesn't turn, but it is going to fire another web at the Alpha section. And it succeeds. So, you're webbed again. And let's roll some damage. Well, it would help if I actually did the macro. Okay, so it is going to be, after accounting for resistance, you're going to be taking a grand total of 5 to the shear. Is it 5? Because it's piercing. No, it's vicious 1, so that's 8. No, you take 3 damage to your shields.
All right.
And you are once again ensnared.
Sigh.
But, as that all happens, from out of warp, right over here, comes a very, very welcome sight. It is, and all of you on the bridge would know, on the bridges would, have somebody yell this at you. It is the Defiant class USS Mongoose, and the Mongoose is going to do what Defiants do best, and it's going to fly in, and it is going to basically do a strafing run with its cannons. So let's see how well they do. So they've rolled a complication. I'm going to take threat. But the good news is they definitely hit. So this is going to be grand total of this many challenge die. Do you all mind if I take your 4 momentum so that this will ignore resistance? Well,
I'm
8
very
resistance
okay with
anyway.
this.
I suppose.
Okay. Actually, because they have versatile 2, that's a grand total of 12 momentum ignored, or 12 resistance ignored. So let's see what happens. Alright. So, with 12 resistance ignored, that is actually going to be enough to cause not only 1 breach, but 2 breaches. And that's going to put their power at dangerously low levels. So let me adjust that. Let me roll to see where the Mongoose hit. 3. If that's engines, the Adelicite is out. Where is it? I just saw it. Well, guess what, guys? 3 is engines. The Adelicite, dead in the water.
I was just gonna say I will donate on Twitch to make that roll engines.
Oh no, I would never, ever, ever let donations affect the game. Ever. I'm very adamant against that. But no, this is good news for you, because not only does this take us out of combat, this does leave the Adelicite out of... Well, I take that back. We do need 1 further tactical action from the Alpha section to get out of the web, but then we're out of combat.
All right. I can roll
Do
for
your
Shatsu.
thing.
Yeah.
Do my thing. Shatsu.
I will say on Beta's bridge, if anybody would like to try to tractor that big piece of crap into the black hole, I will gladly close my eyes.
Okay.
Matic will.
All right. Let's see what the ship rolls. If the ship gets a success, she'll be out of the web.
Let's see. Plus sensor. Or weapons plus security.
I believed. Yay, you're out of the web. All right. So, I guess this now comes down to what happens. So, in order to...
Permission to reform all sections and get out of here?
Yeah.
Are we able to do so with under the, Beta's current conditions?
You are, but you will be taking -1 resistance until you repair its
cannot
base stock.
reform the ship while Beta is disabled or damaged. Oh, its structure is damaged. That's one.
Maybe Alpha and Gamma can
Oh,
sort of
I
track
remember
the
now.
Beta between
Yes,
them.
Locke, you are completely correct.
Right. So we will have to take it under tow while damage control teams take over.
Okay. So here is the important question I was going to ask. So Beckett did say he would close his eyes if anyone wanted to tractor it into the black hole. Is any section of the ship going to A, fly over in range, and then B, throw this thing into the black hole?
I will.
Matic will
Roger.
if he can
It
with
might,
Beta.
might take a couple of us. I'll coordinate.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, Beta really can't right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Beckett will.
And Mitch would rather not add another 1,000 to his kill count.
Skull will.
Beckett will radio to the captain and say, Captain, seeing Alpha move over there, Captain, I'm gonna leave the ship in the capable hands of Lieutenant Commander Ty. I took a nasty bump on my head, and I think I need to go below decks.
See to the wounded, Doctor.
And then I will then
Well, I mean, the
tell
real
Maddox.
question, I think, is the mongoose going to let us do that?
I was going to say, are you going to hail the mongoose, or are you going to let them hail you?
I'll hail the mongoose.
Okay. So on screen, you see the lovely Defiant Bridge, and you see a Betazoid in actually Admiralty rank. And the Admiral says, Captain
Oh, cheese it! It's the fuzz.
Captain Skull, it is both a surprise and, well, I'll just say this, I'm glad we got here in time.
Do I know the Admiral by chance?
You do not know the Admiral.
Admiral, as much as I'd love to give a full debriefing of the situation, long story short, been stuck in Tholian space last 3 months, made our desperate escape. These guys chased us in an attempt to, and were attempting to stop us from reaching Federation space. With the Admiralty's permission, I would like to ensure that they don't make it back to Tholian space.
So the Admiral steeples his fingers, and he thinks about it for a moment and says, Permission denied, Captain. As much as I'm sure you have every single right and every single feeling to utterly destroy these Tholians, I believe we're dealing with a bad enough diplomatic situation as is. So let us just leave them for the time being. They're not going anywhere fast. I think this display of force from us will be enough to humble them from proceeding to pursue us.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the status of the Ophion? I know that Beta section is in dire straits, but what of Alpha and Gamma?
Alpha is combat capable, sir. Gamma section, according to my readouts, Gamma section at least appears functional if somewhat depleted on their shields, and
their engines are pretty badly damaged.
Yeah, is functional but hampered, and Beta section requires some serious work before we are able to make warp.
Understood. Would you prefer to take Beta section under your own tractor, or should the Mongoose?
All respect, sir. We made it through Tholian space as a crew, and I'd prefer to make it out as a crew.
Understood. All right.
Sona, bring us alongside the Beta section. Shatsu, prepare tractor beam. Alpha to Gamma section.
Merthrin here, Captain.
How are you holding up down there?
Well, still getting the full damage reports and casualties in, but I think we've got enough of a crew to get the engines functional.
You did well. I'm transporting Pinek over there to assume command to let you handle the ship status, and we're taking Beta under wing. Are you warp capable?
Yes, but not very fast. Warp 2 at maximum, unless we can repair the engines a bit before then.
I'll take any section we can. I'll take any warp we can get to get away from this black hole.
Understood. Also, do not take Transporter Room 2. It has been completely blasted out into open space.
I think we're just going to do site-to-site transport. We'll beam him straight to engineering.
Understood.
Don't let him micromanage you. Don't let him micromanage you too much.
And off comms, he says, "Honestly, I'm fine to let him take responsibility for this one."
On Beta, Beckett will walk over to Maddox, help him out of his chair. Lieutenant Commander Ty, Lieutenant Commander McTurk. Ty, you have the bridge. McTurk, just keep us together as much as you can. And Beckett to the rest to Beta section. Station heads, please bring all medical emergencies to whatever we've set up as the sick bay on Beta.
Beta actually has the main sick bay.
Wonderful. Have it bring all casualties, walking or otherwise, to main sickbay, and all medically trained personnel, please report to sickbay. And I'm gonna take Matic down, and I'm gonna get him patched together, and then I'll start doing the lighter work because I know I have a concussion, and having Vara handle all Vara and the EMH handle all the major stuff.
Okay. So, the scene will end, and we'll end the scene and go to break. So what we see, kind of as an external shot, the Adelisite is sort of listing in space, not in any danger of falling into the black hole. But the Alpha section of the Ophion kind of swoops in, tractor beams the Beta section, and then in a coordinated jump, Alpha, Gamma, and the Mongoose all jump into warp away from the system. And that is where we will take our break. I know we went a little bit longer than we usually do for our breaks, so hopefully nobody's bladders exploded. If you could be back here by 5:10, if possible.
Whew,
All right,
that
so
got
Beer.
hairy.
Hooray, we survived, thank the Emperor.
Yeah, we would not have won that fight.
Doesn't
no.
their silly Tholian web stuff was more of a hindrance than I had thought it was going to be. Oh well.
They'd have
Learn
missed
for
that.
next. Be right back.
Okay, I'm back. Oh, well, thank you, Mirthril. I did want to thank you for both subscribing and donating some bits. You are our first bit donation, so good stuff there. How many players are here? Who's here from my players?
Me at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone else muted. All right. Hey, that gives me time to get a token for the Admiral. Because apparently I did not put it in there. Now the question becomes, where the hell did I put that? It's got to be here somewhere.
Check the freezer. It's always in the freezer.
Yeah, it's always in the freezer.
I'm back.
There he is. I was wondering where the hell he was. Oh, this is the non-Photoshop version. That's fine. I don't think anyone's going to yell at us for not having black irises on a Betazoid. Let's see, and he needs to be there. Okay.
Yeah, so went to a Magic the Gathering draft for basically the first time ever the other day.
How'd it go?
I absolutely they wiped the floor with me,
Ah,
but I had fun.
hey, that's all that matters. I
And I got about 50 cards worth of draft chaff.
Nice.
Because they were like, "Oh, hey, you don't have any cards at all. Here, have all of these." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to say no."
I keep meaning to get into Magic the Gathering, like, pretty much every single group I play in or GM has people that do it. And when I go for PAX West in August, September, I know that at least 4 of the people I'm going to be at the Airbnb with are also bringing their Magic decks. So, maybe I'll get them to teach me then.
It's fun. I played it in college, and it's fun. Just, good lord, the money you can sink into it.
Oh yeah, yeah. My plan's basically just to go to draft tournaments and just slowly build up a collection that way.
Solid choice. All right.
I did get quite a nice little foil legendary out of it too.
Oh.
Which happens to be a green-white one, which is my preferred color.
I'm told I would be the type of person to run a blue deck. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Depends who you ask. It's basically blue's the fuck you deck.
That sounds about right.
Lots of control, lots of card draw, lots of just outright I counter your thing. Like if you want to do a mill deck, blue is the color you run.
Okay.
Actually, does that term make sense outside of Magic the Gathering?
No, I do know what mill means.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I did play Hearthstone for a little bit, but I stopped when they started doing expansions because I'm not that hardcore of a player. Huh. So this is interesting because, again, this is my first time ever, subscriptions on Twitch. I wonder if I can change the icon yet, or if that's like a higher sub count thing. I'll look into it. Because I'd like to have like a little Starfleet badge there. Also, I'll ask this again when everyone's back, but we are coming up on our 3-hour mark, so does anyone have to go immediately, or can we go for another 30 minutes?
I'm good.
I'm fine.
Okay.
30 minutes would be pushing it for me. I might have to leave it up to 20, but...
Okay. We'll see where things pan out. I'll try to keep you in mind. Yeah, I only really have a very quick scene with the Admiral, which I was going to do before break, but I realized we hadn't done one, so figured I'd give people's bladders a break.
So I kind of sprung the Shatsu thing on you.
No, that's perfectly fine. You know what? I never have issue with players adding agency. I have no problem with that. But this does mean that when Shatsu finds out what the hell the other people are talking about, she might respond in a certain way.
Yeah, I know there was the rule of no erotic roleplay, so I didn't want to.
Oh no,
I know
no.
how far you drew that line, but
where I draw the line.
What did I walk into?
I draw the line at actually acting out the scene. If stuff like that happens, we'll just fade to black. We basically keep it broadcast friendly. But no, I don't mind flirting with NPCs. I don't mind romantic relationships. Just be aware that keep in mind your poor GM does have to roleplay the other side. So, I'll do it, but I won't be super happy about it.
I had no strong plans for that.
Okay.
I mostly wanted the comedy aspect, but
No.
because it's fun to have walk score.
Oh yeah. No, hey, it just means you get added to Scuttlebutt, and Scuttlebutt is great. Everybody loves Scuttlebutt.
It depends.
You're probably fine from my end because really the only option for Mirthrin would be Zinixia, and that's not happening.
Man, I'm looking at the Twitch chat, and man, they really think that we're just like bloody stone cold killers over here.
I mean,
Like,
to be fair, you were talking about just tossing a 2 kilometer long dreadnought and its
I
entire crew
never
into a black hole.
said that we should do it. I just said, as the person who's against mass killing, I was going below decks and would not be able to see what's on the outside of the ship.
Loopholes. Loopholes everywhere.
Well, I was willing to do it. Like, those motherfuckers started this shit. We were out of their space. They decided to chase us.
And honestly, the rest of us are absolved of all sins because we just have to say the captain told us to.
This is true.
I mean, I think if the captain had tried to do that, I think Murthrin probably would have broken rank and actually gone, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I
we have
mean,
no obligation to follow an illegal order.
Legitimately the two most bloodthirsty people, which I think is me and Matic.
Mm-hmm.
Our portion of the ship is in no condition to even attempt to try to tractor beam push those things into the black hole.
Yeah, it would have been a series of difficult rolls. Yeah, our 10 minutes are up, so let's go ahead and get started again. Captain...
In Skull's defense, he was probably beginning to get to the end of his psychological tether.
I mean, I think anyone would at that point. But Captain,
Yes.
you are going to be called to your ready room.
Okay, last time this was Q. Let's see if the reaction is any different. I'll go into my ready room.
Okay, well, good news. It's not Q. It is the Admiral. And you see him just sort of sitting at your desk. He's currently working at the little ship computer, or the little desk computer. He looks up and says, "Ah, good, Captain Skull. I hope you won't mind, but I invited myself in."
Ah, Lord Celeborn, good to see you.
I was just going to say, he is a pretty man. Anyways, Admiral, had I known, I would have welcomed you aboard formally.
No, I prefer to not stand on ceremony. I'm one of those admirals that doesn't really care for it.
A pleasure to meet you, then. I'm afraid I haven't gotten your name.
I am Admiral Soko. It is a pleasure.
Likewise, Admiral. Anyone who comes in and saves my ship and crew has my gratitude.
Yes, I've been very briefly reviewing your reports, and it's occurred to me that your crew has not had shore leave for quite some time.
One second here. No, sir. We have been at our posts and taking some doing some modified duty rotations in order to relieve our crew tension as best we could under the situation.
Well, I'm sure we can do a full debriefing when we arrive at Starbase 214. However, I would like to make it an official order that the Ophion, such as it is to report to Starbase 214 for a immediate repair and possible refit.
That would be we would greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Admiral.
Indeed. In addition, all crew of the Ophion are also hereby mandated, once they arrive at Starbase, to take at least a 1-week break. More is possible, but you must take at least 1 week off.
I know a particular Vulcan commander who may take that poorly, but he will follow the order, I am sure.
Yes, again, we'll handle most of this in your full debriefing, but I see you've promoted Panek. As far as I see, it's a promotion well received. But I'm curious, what really, I suppose, pushed it over to needing a promotion?
Well, sir, we had a long journey ahead of us. The crew needed something to celebrate early on in order to keep their spirits high. Not only had he earned it, it was done for crew morale.
And right about then, there is a call from the bridge, and it's Shatsu. And Shatsu says, "Sir, there's a ship decloaking outside."
I'm just going to look at Admiral. One of yours?
No?
Yellow alert, and I will head on out.
So before you can even get to the door, Shatsu says, "Oh, wait, no, sir, it's the Chanel. They followed us somehow."
Admiral, you'll want to skip to say Stardate 55. Let's see, Stardate 55771.7 for the Chanel. As I basically completely turn my back on the Admiral and stride to the bridge.
Yeah, he's going to let you go. And on the bridge, you do see already on the view screen is Lady Saris. And she's smiling very excitedly. And she says, Captain, I'm a little bit sorry that we weren't able to aid you in your combat, but I'm glad to see that the Ophion made it out in mostly one piece.
Lady Saris, I'm both pleased and surprised to see you had either followed us or followed the Adelicite. Either way, I bid you welcome to, well, not quite Federation space, but very close to it.
Indeed. Well, you provided a lovely distraction for us to use the Tholians' webway against them. They didn't detect us at all.
Well, I'm pleased to have you on board, or pleased to have you in our space and out of the Tholian danger.
I am curious, Captain. Should we follow your ship to a planet or station in particular, or are we free to simply go as we please?
You are welcome to follow us to one of our nearest starbase outposts, where we will obviously need to undergo repair and refit, where you can be welcomed into the Federation should you decide. But you are a free ship and a free crew. Should you decide to explore Federation space, you shall not be hindered.
I think given what we've both gone through, I'd like to talk to your superior and thank him in person for what you've done.
Absolutely. If you wish to use your transporter technology and beam over, you can do so yourself. He's on board.
I might just do that. Saris out. And I think that is where we'll end unless somebody has any last-minute bits of RP.
No,
No,
I'm good.
Think of anything?
Okay, so we again sort of cut to an external shot of all of the Ophion pieces at warp with the beta section being towed, and then there's also the Defiant class Mongoose that's there as well. It's a very pretty shot. And before we kill the stream, I did want to do on sort of after session stuff here. First things first, everybody gets an arc. Literally everybody. That said, since everybody is getting an arc, I would say you do want to coordinate over the next week if you are going to modify any NPCs or if you're modifying the ship. Now, the ship is what I really want to touch on. Since you're going to be at an actual starbase, you can do some pretty serious work on the Ophion.
Tempted.
I'm going to say that most, if not all, talents are going to be valid here, but just make sure you run them by me first. But yeah. Oh, reputation. We all have to do reputation rolls. That was the other thing.
Yes.
So...
Good thing we did destroy that ship.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of negatives. If I have this right... everyone, and we'll have to get connected to this when he comes back, everyone is at 3 positive. Yes, right. Everyone is at 3 positive. Unless someone would like to check me and say they had a negative that they could think of.
So does that mean 3 rolls?
That means 3d20 rolls under your reputation, yes.
Oh, good lord.
And remember, your reputation is tracked if you hit the little gear button. There are fields for it on the character sheet.
Hell, I got 2 under at least. That's better than last time.
Yeah, let me... that actually might be a crit for you. Let's check.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Captain, you're 2 3s. That would be 4.
Ooh.
But you have a responsibility, so that's -1. So you would get 3.
All right.
Bishop, you're a lieutenant commander, so you don't gain any reputation.
All right.
I get 2 because I rolled a 1.
Yeah, and you're not a failure, so that's a 1. So that's 2 for you. And then Locke, I'm pretty sure you get the 3.
Yeah.
Now, that said, both the captain and Locke in this instance are eligible for a 3-cost medal. And I'm probably going to think about it over the break, but if you guys want to direct your attention to, let me find the right page here, page 100 of the command book.
God.
If you see one that is 3 cost or lower and you want it, Locke and Skull, just let me know and it can happen.
Will do.
And yeah, Beckett, you go up by 1.
Only 1?
Yeah, only 1. Well, what is your rep? Let's ask that question.
My rep's 18.
Oh, well, holy shit. Yeah, you're at 20. Yeah, you two are eligible for a 3 or better, or 3 or less medal.
He could
Okay,
also
so-
get promoted.
I could make him captain.
You
I
could.
really can't. He could, and then I would have to make a new character.
Uh-huh. Actually, it's on page 97, apparently, of command. Sorry about that.
And reputation caps at 20, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So just remember that getting this medal would cost the 3 reputation you just got. So it would basically be getting a medal in lieu of the reputation gain.
Right. Because that's how I got the other medal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this is where I'm going to end the stream, and I only have like a couple more things for the players. So thank you guys. I know we ran a little bit later than usual. We are go for next week as far as I know. So I will see you on the stream and on YouTube next week. Bye-bye.